It is good. Does Jarzy ever disappoint? The man doesn't know how to disappoint.
He's just top quality stuff right there.
He's just like, hey guys, by the way, I did this. Like, oh, this is fucking amazing. Oh, awesome. Welcome everybody. We're back. Another episode of Between
I'm
Two
here for the first
Streamers. Today's Between Three Streamers. We brought a friend with us today. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Javinat0r, for those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting or knowing him, is joining us for the show today. So, hi.
Hi. Welcome in. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Happy to be here.
Glad to have you.
Saving me from a lot of yard work right now.
I know. See, I keep telling myself like Sunday's going to be yard work day, and for some reason it's the weather's on my side, and every Sunday is like a rainy day anymore. So it's amazing.
Yeah, shucks, eh?
Always next Sunday. There's always next Sunday. So
ours is just hot as hell right now, and I don't really want to cut the grass.
I don't blame you there.
Yeah,
I'm long overdue.
36 is too hot.
I got to get used to it. I always forget like the whole Celsius Fahrenheit,
yeah.
like 36. Sir, it's
36
almost
is
freezing. You are 4 degrees away from freezing. Oh. Hello, by the way, Mrs. Huey, Shabby, Schwang Wallaby. Thank you guys for already being here before we were even here and saying hi. So we already have all 3 of you in the drawing for the merch. There's a new merch store in the works a little bit. There's been some behind the scenes, what was it, Stream Elements that usually did it? Was that who it originally was?
Yeah.
And
Stream Elements apparently changed up their stuff, so now it is through Fourth Wall, I believe. The link is there in the chat. You can check it out. I really only just got a couple things up there recently, so we'll elaborate. They have quite the array of things that you can now get, so it will be fun. You can get flip-flops and bathing suits and AirPod holders, pet collars, and of course some socks. So,
of course,
I'll gotta have the socks.
Gotta have the socks.
So yeah, so for whoever wins today, if you want to wait till we have everything up that you can take a better look, we will be obviously understanding of that. So, not a big deal. But anyways, we wanted to bring our friend Jav on the show today, and Human Collar's asking for a friend. I mean, how you
can
use your collar is completely up to you, okay?
It says pet, but it's open to interpretation.
Like, do you have to know, like, what size? Like, does it measure up to this many inches for my pet?
Yeah.
Right? You could go to the animal store or whatever, whatever those are called, the pet store, and the animals. Get yourself a
animal store, you know,
a little tag on it that says Between Two Streamers, and you can hang like a little dog bone tag off of it. You know, it'd be pretty cool.
I'll have to look if they actually they must embroider the logo on the collar. I'm assuming
they would.
I guess it's more than just the little tag.
Yeah, that's what I would guess too. I'll let my friend Mike know. Thank you. What's up, Snipes? How's everybody doing? So, anyways, so today's show, obviously, with our special guest here, we wanted to get in here, and we're going to be talking a lot about just streaming in general, evolution of channels, just kind of how we all know each other and everything. So, I guess we could start off. Jav, why don't you tell us a little bit about your channel?
Okay, I don't know how to say this without saying sorry, but just a heads up first. Like, I am a fellow Canadian with Mr. Huey, so the sorry meter might break today. So just a heads up with that. So hi, my name is Javinat0r. Yeah, I've been streaming for a little while now, probably since just before the pandemic. Mike was talking about evolution of the channel and stuff like that, so I play all kinds of stuff. Started with, I think, virtual reality, honestly, was my first ever stream, doing some VR stuff.
I did
then
not
some
know
FPS. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my first ever stream was VR.
Nice.
Just to see if I could do it, just to see if I could make it work. And then that
I've
was kind of
yet
cool.
to
And
do
people
that.
actually showed up to the first stream because I guess I was the only person streaming VR at the time. And then Huey and I got into playing some first-person shooters together, and we thought it was fun just streaming so that we could watch each other play and see each other's screens and see each other go nuts when we got a sweet kill or something like that. And yeah, then I got into some like retro gaming stuff. I do a little bit of like randomizer, speed running, stuff like that, and I was getting super focused on that for a while. And mostly like Final Fantasy VI and all of these retro RPGs from back when we were kids, because we're all pretty old now. And yeah, I've now kind of just gotten into the groove of whatever I feel like playing. So I guess I'm a little more variety now. I still do all of the stuff that I said previously, and then kind of whatever I feel like playing at the time. So yeah, a lot of Counter-Strike these days. A lot of Remnant with these two fine gentlemen that are here with me, or that I'm here with. And
That's okay. This is
yeah,
your show now.
just gaming and having fun and hanging out. I mean, the vibe of the channel is really just, if I'm going to be playing video games, I'd really rather be playing video games and hanging out with friends and people than just sitting by myself in a room. And so that's kind of the vibe. It's just, yeah, come in, hang out. Sometimes, as you can see in this sweet clip, my camera position gets off when I'm like hyper focused. But yeah, that's the level of professionalism you can expect from the Javinat0r stream.
I think that
Joys
was.
of streaming.
It's, oh man,
Yeah.
Difficulties and frustrations.
I don't understand how some. It's funny that you bring that up because I don't see how some people literally just sit there in front of their camera all day. It's like they never move. You know what I mean? Like we had this discussion. We were talking about the show. Like by the end of the show, I'll like be like practically in a recliner sitting there talking. You know what I mean? Like yeah. So this is where we're gonna end. You know, like it's. But yeah, I do that. I do that same stuff. So. You said that you started off in you said your first stream was a VR stream. What were you streaming? Do you remember? What game were you playing?
I think it was like an MMORPG called Orbis VR at the time. I think it's like a super small game. I think I've never seen more than like 5 people ever watching / streaming that at the same time. So VR. So Huey got me into VR. So basically,
Bad
this
influence.
is a long time ago now, actually, come to think of it. But we went together to Toronto to watch. It was like Rainbow Six Nationals or something like that. And we went together with a friend and we hung out. Hey, GCG, good to see you. Thank you. Hi, that's my cousin. He actually got me into streaming, so like further step back. But
Welcome in.
yeah, so we went to this esports thing, which was cool. I'd never been to that in my life before. Highly recommend that. That was a cool atmosphere. Yeah. But part of it being in Toronto was Huey's like, you got to come to this VR cafe. We're going to rent it for a little while. We're going to do some VR. And I was like, okay, VR seems kind of gimmicky. You know, I've seen videos of it. It seems pretty jank. And this was like 7 years ago. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and that picture right there,
man.
that's us wearing the Rainbow Six gear that they had at the at the photo booth. Classic. I actually have that picture too. I don't want to. Okay, I don't know which drawer it's in, and I'm not going to sit here rifling through drawers, but it's like it's here. But yeah, so we went and did this VR cafe thing, and it blew me away. I could not handle it.
You
was
were
amazing.
impressed,
So,
like how much better it was than you thought it was gonna be, right?
I
Like,
was-
the games that
I
we
was
were
talking
playing
about it.
were, it was
oh yeah, and they're like just these like polygon like low like fidelity games or whatever, but you're immersed, and I was in. So just went away, talked about buying a Quest for a long time because this was back when like the Meta Quest, the Oculus Quest 1 came out.
Yeah.
So picked that up, played that a bunch, loved that. Yeah, yours is right there. Mine's in a cabinet right behind me. And yeah, I kind of wanted to see if I could do it. I had a Kinect camera from my Xbox One sitting around unused, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I could hook that up to a computer. And I had these little Bluetooth audio dongle things, and I was like, I could probably get audio out of the headphone jack to my computer from that. And then it had like a cast, like a Google Cast to a screen thing. So I was like, I could put that on my computer, and it just kind of all worked out. And I just wanted to see if I could do it. And then people came on, and I was just like talking and hanging out with people, playing some VR And I was like, well, this is awesome. I need to do this a lot more. And yeah, that's kind of how it started. And
Nice.
yeah, I think, yeah, and then the rest is history.
I got a VR headset like a year ago, and it was, of course, it was like the new, what is it, the Meta Quest 3 or whatever it is. But it was funny because
Yeah.
like I went to Best Buy to grab one, and like I was just gonna go grab the number 2 or whatever. That's what I just like recently messed around with, and the guy that
Mm.
was there is like, you should wait like a week. I'm like, why? And that was when the Quest 3 was getting ready to come out, so I figured, well, screw it. If I'm gonna get one, I'll get the newest one. You know what I mean? So I waited a week and got it, and it's
Yep.
not disappointing. So Man Bear actually reminded me in the chat that one of my first games that I've played was Phasmophobia, and
In VR.
in
Oh my God.
VR, in VR, and so like we regularly play Phasmophobia. That's like one of the main stable. Like whenever I do stream, it's usually like Phasmophobia based around that, and dude, the level of immersion that it takes you into, it's like it's one thing staring at your screen.
Oh,
Now, I'm
man.
just talking strictly Phasmophobia for my personal experience. Like there's such a big difference just staring at the screen and a ghost pops up and you run to a corner and feeling like you're in that damn room when a ghost pops up in your face. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's
It,
terrifying.
it is. I don't think anybody, if for anybody here, if you've never actually experienced VR, go do yourself a favor and pop on a headset somewhere and check it out, because like it really does give you a whole new level of immersion into a game. It's crazy. So definitely cool. Like I get it. I know obviously I was a little bit later on board than you guys were with the VR, whenever getting into it, but it's cool. It's some cool stuff. It is very scary. And yes,
Yeah,
I
I still have yet to beat. I still have yet to beat Half-Life Alex, which is nowhere
Okay.
near as scary as Phasmophobia. But I'm a huge coward. I'm like, I got Resident Evil 2 for my N64 as a kid, and
Yeah.
I got like, I don't know, a half hour into that game, and I was just like, nope, put
Yep.
it right back down.
I
like,
do
I'm good.
not play horror games. Like I absolutely despise horror games. It's not something that I play. Phasmophobia is literally the only one that I can get into, because it's just ghost hunting, finding evidence, and that kind of stuff. But like your Resident Evils, all that kind of stuff, all those different kind of horror games, man, I can't do it. I'm too big of a chicken shit for that stuff. So yeah,
Same.
So I haven't. Obviously, I've known Huey for a little bit longer than I've known you, Jeff. But going back to, we talked about you guys getting to know each other through streaming
Yeah.
and stuff, like being able
Yeah.
to watch each other. But how did you guys meet? What is you guys' background?
Yeah, so Hugh and I actually work together. Not going to go into more than that, but Hugh and I work together, and the place, like, we work for a company that's relatively big, and then there's these little pockets of people that work all over the place. So Hugh and I work in different little pockets. Anyway, so I was sitting in an office in my building, and I'd seen him around before, and he'd seen me around before. And let's just say it was a slow day. Sorry if anybody from work is watching. It was a slow day. I was on break, whatever. So I had my phone up. Yeah. So I had my phone up on like the keyboard because I was sitting at a desk, because I'm a desk jockey, office worker, and there was I can't remember what the tournament was, but there was a Counter-Strike tournament on at the time, and like I really enjoy competitive Counter-Strike. I like watching it. I say I like playing it, but let's be realistic there. But
Does anybody
yeah,
really
I
enjoy
like
playing
watching
that?
it. Well, I mean more like I wouldn't necessarily call myself competitive. But,
Oh, fair enough.
yeah, but between the dips of rage, there's some spikes of joy there. But
True.
yeah. Anyway, so I was playing this, and Huey walked in and kind of saw it and didn't really say anything at first. And he can correct me because I have terrible memory, so I'm like smudging together my memory here, but it's mostly true.
I said, "What do you got going on there?"
Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, this guy's.
I saw video games. I'm like, yes, because like, sorry, fuck. That's the first one.
Hey, there it is. He broke it. Yeah.
I was gonna say, because we live in an area like Javin and I aren't both originally from this area either. Like we've moved here, so like we're from different areas, and a lot of people in this area like hunt and fish, and they
Mhm.
love their outdoor, ATVs and four wheelers and snowmobiling and all that stuff. So it's a different kind of interest group than ours. Like I'm not into that, and I know Javin isn't either. So to walk in, like that's all people talk about at work when that I'm around, right? So
Mhm.
to walk into a building and see Javin watching Counter Strike, I'm like, I'm like, my people, finally somebody knows what the fuck I'm interested in. Like, I just jumped all over it. So,
Yeah, and
anyway, yeah.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky that you did, because I'm social with people that I know, and I'm like super friendly if you reach out to me, but like I'm generally pretty bad about, I'll say, initiating contact or initiating a friendship. Whereas I've got my friend Huey here, who's like the master of initiating friendships and stuff like that. So
I
so a
feel
lot of
like I
my
invaded your life whether you wanted me or not, and I just, you can't.
Well, I'm glad you did. It worked out pretty
yeah,
well, I think.
I'm grateful you. Yeah,
I ended
just
up with one of my best
invaded.
friends. So yeah, thanks for invading my life with being one of my best friends.
All I
That's
can
awesome.
think of right now is the scene from Step Brothers where they're like talking about like doing karate in the garage and stuff. Like, did we just become best friends? Like, just imagine
basically
you
what
guys
happened.
like in
That's
a break
basically
room
what
right now.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny because we were both kind of dipping our toe in with each other a little bit. It's like, oh, is that Counter Strike there? Oh, I play games too. Oh yeah, So do you play some other games? I don't know. Well, I have Xbox. I have Xbox too. Do you want to maybe be Xbox? Right? Yeah. So it was. I'm pretty sure by the end of that little conversation, we ended up
Pulled out our
adding each other to
phones.
Xbox on our
Yeah.
phones. Yeah.
Yeah, at work.
Yep. And we've been gaming together ever since.
Nice. And how
And-
long
and
Like
ago was
other stuff
this?
religiously
ever
every
since.
Friday. Like every
Yeah, every
Friday, is
Friday.
our night
Friday.
game.
Yep.
If we're not gonna make it, we tell each other because it's like Friday's our night.
So like
Yep,
how long ago are
absolutely.
we talking here? Like how long ago was it that you guys had your first date?
2016?
2016.
2015
Okay.
or
I think so.
2016,
So
something like
so
that.
you guys are going on like
Yeah.
a decade-long friendship now.
We had that
approaching.
realization the other day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We were
Pretty
talking.
crazy.
We're like, "Whoa, we've been friends for almost 10 years."
that's
Wild.
awesome.
yeah,
That is awesome.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's funny though
Because it was before streaming, right? Like before streaming, we got into it and stuff. So we've been streaming for a while. So.
You bring
Yeah.
up a good point, Jeff. Like I feel you on like I don't want to say like antisocial, but I am kind of antisocial. Like I don't tend to reach out, and get to know people too often. Like most people that I know, I mean, clearly it's Sunday morning and I'm hanging out with a couple of my Canadian friends online right now. So like my, you find friends through common interests and everything like that. And, but no, that's awesome. And I feel you guys because down here, I'm in Midwest United States. So we have a lot of this, and I'm in the construction industry. All right. So it's like big, tough construction workers who hunt and drink as much beer as humanly possible on the weekends or go out on fishing boats.
we
Like
get
that
that
is a majority of who I'm around on the daily basis. So to be able to find a friend like that, Man Bear Pig you guys have a very similar story to myself and Man Bear Pig. We worked together up until recently, and he was kind of known as the weird kid from the warehouse. And like we had to go pick up a truck, and like everybody was like, "Oh, I don't want to go," and like so like I hopped in the truck with this dude, and found out that he was a Destiny player, and like I was really big into Destiny at the time. And then literally from like that first ride, we were like, so do you want to like, you want to hop on and play some Destiny together sometime? And this is literally probably 10 years ago that this all happened. And so kind of a very similar story that you guys have that Man Bear and I have. It's like, it's funny hearing my story come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
But it just shows you like that's kind of how gamers meet. You know what I mean? Like we're not that outgoing of a people usually. Huey being the exception over here, and
Well, we need these bright shining stars that we all gather around.
exactly.
And then,
I feel like
and then we can all become friends. But we need that one person who's just like the glue. Who's just like
Yep.
bringing us all together.
Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
feel like
But yeah,
I
like-
invaded both of your lives.
In a great
Neither
way.
one of you
In a
can
great
get rid of
way.
me now. Yeah.
But yeah, so my cousin's been chatting in my Good Clean Gamer, so he's my cousin. So I've known him for a pretty long time since we're related, and he's He's slightly older than me. I'm not going to give him away, and I'm not whatever. But he mentioned it before, but he actually got me into gaming, because gaming for me has always kind of been like a social thing. Like as much as you do stuff on your own too. Like I'm an only child, and so I spent a lot of time socializing with my Super Nintendo. But you know, it's always been, even when you're playing single player games, it's always been kind of like with someone, like growing up. As much as possible, if my friends and I were playing games, we'd either be playing games together, or like one of us would be playing a Final Fantasy game or something like that, and the other one would be sitting by and be like, "Oh, do this! Did you get this? Oh, that was sweet!" Blah blah blah. And so it's always kind of been a social game thing, right from the start. Like GCG got me into things like from the ground level. Yeah, waiting for me to sport my first gray hairs. I don't know. Forever young, I guess.
I got both
maybe I
first.
die. Maybe I die. You'll never know.
All my gray hairs are right here, and then I'm just balding up in this section. So, yeah. So
I do see that I'm really blurry. I want to try something here. Sorry, I'm jumping.
it's
That's
okay.
Another sorry, motherfucker.
No, that is another sorry.
I want to try and turn it off and turn it back on. I don't know why. I feel like I'm really blurry.
Spoken like a true tech person. Have you tried turning it off?
Turn it off and turn it back on again. Yeah,
I don't know
we were
about
when we were
that.
getting ready for the
Man Bear, was
we were
one of the
getting ready for
sorries
the,
referring to the other
podcast.
sorry though, or was it actually two sorries? Man Bear
That was
Bear is
better.
our
I think it's two.
counter.
I think
was it two?
I think you got to count them all.
I'm at 2. I've
If-
definitely done 2.
Okay. All
Cruising
right.
That was
Exotica,
better
yeah.
already. I don't know why that was like that.
Yeah, that's one of my
Thank you.
favorite memories, actually. So GCG, Young Javinat0r Cruising Exotica. So I've generally, until Xbox Land, I was generally a Nintendo guy.
Yeah.
And my cousin came to visit me back when I was in like grade 8 or something like that. And so, of course, we're playing video games together. Like,
Yeah.
of course. So we head to Blockbuster, aging ourselves a little bit.
Ooh,
we head to
a
for the
Blockbuster
Friday-
throwback
for the
there.
Friday.
Damn.
Yeah, to get
Nice.
the game rental for the weekend. It was N64 at the time, and so we got Cruisin' Exotica. And I still remember it. Like, we went to rent it or whatever, and the guy behind the counter said, "All right, well, here you go, and here's your copy of Cruisin' Erotica." We're like, "Whoa, that's a different game."
Yeah. Did you get this from the wrong section, bud?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, since we're kind of on the topic already, I kind of want to ask you. You said you were pretty much a Nintendo guy. So,
Yeah.
what was your first console? This is something I know we've talked about many a times on plenty of shows. But what was your first gaming experiences? Like, how did you come up in gaming?
So it's a little bit blurry. So my first console is either a Super Nintendo or a Game Boy. I can't remember exactly which, because they were both around the same time, and I was like 5 or something, or 4. So it was a long time ago. But basically, since I've been walking and talking, I've been gaming in some way. But yeah, it was either Super Nintendo or Game Boy, and like I was pretty spoiled as a kid. So as much as I was a Nintendo guy, I also had Sega Genesis, and then the next generation came out, and I got an N64, and then later I got a PS1, and then a PS2. I didn't get a GameCube, but I ended up getting like a Wii, and I kind of jumped all over the place. Like I was a Nintendo guy for a while, then I was a PlayStation guy for a while, then I was an Xbox guy, and yeah.
That
Now
is the same.
I'm just a gamer
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
whatever I want to play.
Yeah.
I get what I need to get.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, my
do
first
you-
gaming experience. I very vividly remember. So again, only child, and I lived out in the country compared to where I went to school and where my parents worked. So to do anything, like to go to the store, to go see a friend, to go to school, whatever, minimum half-hour car ride to like town, to get into town. And so I spent a lot of time on my Game Boy in the back seat, just like rocking Pokemon. I mean, I had like old Jurassic Park, the original Super Mario Land. Like, I don't know, I have like 20 Game Boy games. Kirby, all the Kirbys, various Kirby pinball. I had a Kirby phase for a while, I guess. But yeah, I lived off the Game Boy. So much time spent in that car. And like when you're a kid, if any of you remember and are also old, at night when you'd be playing between the street lights, because it was like you're never allowed to have the light on in the car, right? For some
Right.
reason, we all thought that the cars would all just like explode if the light went on. And so you'd have the little Game Boy, and then you'd be between the street lights, and then you'd get to play for a little bit, and then it'd be dark, and you'd have to pause, and then here comes another one, unpause, and you get to play for another like
Yep.
10 seconds or so. Did you have that little lamp that would plug into the Game Boy?
Yeah, I had that little
I
thing
had
that clipped on the top, and then it like flipped up like the magnifying glass when it was lit.
I had the same the big I had the big add-on thing with the flip out speakers and stuff.
Ooh.
Oh wow!
I got that
didn't know
later. But yeah, it was. I try. You're good. It was a bit excessive. It's like, here's my Game Boy, and here's my stack of Game Boy accessories.
You're pretty much
little less
carrying around a
portable.
console with you at that point, like it's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
not even a portable console. It's like this whole like block of things. Like hell yeah. So,
Yep, exactly.
I remember the Game Boy days. I did love some Game Boy back
Oh, yeah.
in the day, but I hear you. The whole black and white pixelated screen, not even black and white. I don't, you know what I mean? Just like the
Like yellow and black.
yes,
And
yes.
gray.
Yeah, awkward colors. So no, I loved me some Game Boy. I originated on some Atari. If you want to
Nice.
age correctly, okay.
Oh,
Like
way
let me throw myself in the mix here. Let me throw myself under the bus. I started off on the old Atari system, and then
Nice,
probably spent
nice.
way more time on original Nintendo than I did anything else. But yeah, kind of came up the same way. And it's funny how like eventually people divided into teams of like, I'm a Sony PlayStation guy, or I'm an Xbox guy, or I'm a God mode PC gamer. You know what I mean? Like those
Yeah.
like divides that happen amongst people. But I was
I mostly
more of a
followed friends,
PlayStation
like-
guy. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Same
mostly
thing.
followed
Same
friends.
thing.
Like we kind of had a PS2, and then ended up getting a 360. And then when 360 hit, that's kind of when I got into online. So Call of Duty 3 and stuff like that. Like, so then a bunch of buddies had Xbox 360 and Call
Yeah.
of Duty 3, and
Yep.
then Call of Duty 4 and Halo and all that stuff. So a bunch of my friends all had Xbox, so just kind of followed and stuck with that.
So what was you
Yeah,
guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just
I
gonna say
said
exact
sorry.
same thing for me.
I
I actually,
said it. I said
Mike,
it. I
Mike's
said
story.
it.
I might get through this without saying it. I'm very aware of it now. I said I was gonna double up the number, but I'm thinking about it with everything I say now. So,
Yep.
but yeah, so I had a buddy that I grew up with who. So I said I lived out in the country, and so I would, if I was gonna go visit him, if I was gonna go see him, it was always an overnighter, or it was
Yeah.
like for a full weekend. You know,
Yep.
if you're gonna drive half an hour to see a friend, you're gonna make it worth it. My
Yep.
parents would drop me off and probably had a great weekend without me. Looking back, it seems probably actually pretty strategic by them. But anyway, and I found we would actually complement our consoles, if you know what I mean. So I would have like the one series of consoles, and he would kind of have the other series of consoles, so we could get together. And then
Nice.
like I would play his like Xbox and stuff, and he would play like my PS2 and stuff. And yeah. So going back to the social aspect of things, like it really feeds into the the decisions in the gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or did you guys like so you took your consoles to each other's houses and you would do like full
yeah.
on like pretty the whole LAN party thing, like
Oh, yeah.
sit there and play with each other. So what was you guys' first like online gaming that you can remember then?
Us?
Yeah, not
Like together or
you
just in
in general. Anything.
Okay, after you, Huey, after you.
My first online stuff is probably Halo. I think I had it on original Xbox, and because that was like the big craze.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure, not too much of that, but I'm pretty sure. Well, no, I can't remember the game. I remember a buddy having like Half-Life, I think, and seeing online multiplayer, and then kind of figured out what like team deathmatch was and stuff like that. And then I remember Unreal Tournament, but I think I only played Unreal Tournament like just against the computer.
Okay.
I'm sticking with Halo.
Stick with it.
I'm gonna go with Halo, and then a lot of Call of Duty, because I did not get too into Halo. It was just like a fun thing, and I didn't like the time to kill and all the melee shit. But Call of Duty 3 and 4 Call of Duty 4 took a lot of my life.
Yeah.
A lot of hours into that one.
Yep.
So I'm pretty like you were playing all those clips. The majority of them were first person shooters. I've been playing first person shooters for a long time. But where I lived, we only had dial up internet.
Yep.
And my mom was an elementary school teacher, and elementary schools were all on like Macintosh computers, and so we had a Mac at home. So if she had to do work at home, it had to be compatible with the school computer. So that really put a damper on my gaming. And then I had high school, and it was like, okay, I need a Windows computer because I've got to have like, you know, files and, you know, yeah, it was important because like at that we were just kind of getting into computers being an important thing, like mandatory for school sort of thing. So anyway, so I got a Windows computer in like grade 9. And I remember I'm pretty sure I started out with like for online game, probably like RuneScape. If anybody remembers RuneScape.
Oh yeah.
Like an old point and click MMORPG. I also played some Guild Wars 1, the original Guild Wars when it came out. Because like RPGs on dial-up, you could make it work. They were laggy and not ideal, but you could make them work.
Yeah.
And then I remember my first-person shooter I got into was Ghost Recon, the original Ghost Recon. And that was what got me really hooked on like the competitive first-person shooters. So that game, even though I was on dial-up, and dial-up sucks for first-person shooters, that game was super slow paced, like super slow paced. And so even, yeah, lag was a problem for sure, but even cable back then kind of sucked. So everybody's connection sucked. But you moved so slowly, it was a lot more about strategy than it was necessarily about like flick aim or reflexes and stuff like that. So I started playing a lot of Ghost Recon. That was really where I dipped my toe, and I had some friends at school who played that. And then we do a little bit of Age of Empires and Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, if anybody remembers that, which is basically Age of Empires with Star Wars.
Okay.
Also a gem on dial-up. You're like, upgrade, and then you wait 5 seconds, and then maybe a unit upgrades. Yeah, and then I remember, so I ended up making friends like halfway through high school who were also really into PC gaming, but they all had cable and they could play games like Counter-Strike. And we would get together like 2 or 3 times a year, and we would have LANs together. Like bring your big clunky monitor, your whole computer over to each other's house, get a bunch of Monster Energy drinks, which were like, there weren't flavors of Monster Energy drink.
It was just
then, right?
the
It was
Monster Energy drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and a whole bunch of chips and just a smelly basement with me and my buddy and a couple of our friends, and just have our computers hooked up. And that was where I finally got to play some games like Counter-Strike or Unreal Tournament or any of these other like Twitch shooters, fast shooters. And I was like, man,
Nice.
I need this in my life. And then graduated high school and moved into a place for university, got a high-speed internet connection, and the rest is just like, yeah, I've been playing ever since.
I remember one time, Dad had the big projection, big screen TV. Like it was like 2 feet wide. The old school big projection TVs. We had that, and then whatever 32-inch my brother and I had like in our toy room or whatever for our video games. So we took the living room and we pushed all the couches and all the shit back, and we had the big screen TV facing one way, and then the other TV was like, we put them like back to back. So, and then we had 2 360s and like a bunch of our buddies, and we were I think we were playing Gears of War or something like that, multiplayer. And yeah, just like giant, TVs. Yeah. Hilarious. I had one of my first doing that.
I had one buddy who, again, aging me out here. Like he was like the ultimate place to go game in his house, because down in their basement, his dad had, in what those days we would call a big screen TV, and looking back at it now, it's like, it's a large box TV, you know what I mean? So it was like 4 foot wide by however tall, but it would take like 4 people to haul this thing around. It was so stupidly big. That's what we had. But like it was just like downstairs, and like everybody would come over and bring like if you had a different console than somebody else, like everybody would bring their stuff, and you could hook it up and put it on channel 3 so that you could play your games. And Like it's that yet another old school callback that you had to be on a certain channel to play your consoles on. And
Yep.
that was our social thing on the weekends. But you'd like if
Were you a, were you,
go ahead.
were you a Channel 3 kid or a Channel 4 kid?
I was a Channel 3 kid. I was Channel 3.
Hell yeah, Channel 3 kid.
Channel,
Hell yeah,
channel, yeah.
Those Channel 4 kids are weird.
They are, dude. They are. No, it had to be Channel 3. It was definitely Channel 3. So, but no, those were the days.
Talking the LAN stuff though, like Javin and I still do that now. Like we have
Yeah.
I think we dubbed it our nerd out night, or I fucking titled it that anyway. But like, so yeah, we haven't done it here
unhealthy.
yet.
I love it.
Yeah, we haven't done it here yet, but back at our old house, so we would just take turns whenever we had the time, and yeah, like go over at just early afternoon, and like a solid 12-hour session. Just there was a couple times where we had another buddy come too, so there was like 3 of us, and yeah, we're Rainbow Six Siege nights. Man, we played for like 12 hours. One of us brings like the drinks. One of us, and the snacks.
Yep.
One of us we take turns. Someone's in charge of snacks.
Yep.
Someone pays for the pizza, and then we take turns.
And
But yeah, in my basement of the older house, I'd have like 3 TVs set up. Everybody bring their Xboxes, and we just game all night.
And you could even take it a step further. Even before there was a Monster Energy drink, it was you'd grab a 6-pack of Surge.
Surge.
I don't know if you guys
Jolt Cola.
Jolt Cola.
Jolt Cola.
Like those back in those days that they could literally just get away with being like, what makes it so popular? Like we literally just put on the can that it has more caffeine than anything that should be legally consumed.
They haven't figured out regulatory limits yet.
Yep. Yeah, FDA was a little bit behind in those days. So. No, that was those were good times. So I guess to fast forwarding a little bit, then you guys we all get into streaming now.
Yep.
So how does you already kind of alluded to it, Jazz? So I'll let you kind of take the lead on it because you were kind of talking about how, especially between you and Huey, being able to just watch your buddies play.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I started on Twitch. I'm pretty sure that's where I started streaming was Twitch. And like I said, I was doing the VR thing a little bit, and then once that worked,
Mixer, right?
Whoa, jumping ahead now. So,
you did start on Twitch, and then you went to. Okay, I didn't know that.
I started on Twitch though.
Okay, shut up, Huey.
Sorry.
Wait, does that count?
No, it doesn't.
I just told myself to shut up. I didn't say it.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I started on Twitch, but I wasn't like a streamer. I would say I was just a guy who did streaming a couple times because it was kind of cool to do.
Yeah.
And I still did it every once in a while. So Huey watched me do it a little bit and thought it was really cool and was interested. And so like backing up a little bit, I talked about it a bit, but I grew up on consoles, but also I've been a PC gamer also kind of since I've been able to be a PC gamer.
Yeah.
And so I'm super comfortable when it comes to messing around with PC stuff. That's why I wear glasses because I'm a big nerd. I actually see fine. I just wear these as an identifier. Yeah, so I'm, me, like I said, I kind of cobbled a streaming setup together from what I had because I love that kind of stuff. So Huey saw what I was doing, thought it was kind of interesting, but didn't have like a computer, didn't have a PC or anything like that. And so he was doing streaming from console. And at the time, it was kind of because Mixer was rest in peace, was like a Microsoft streaming competitor for Twitch that died a long time ago now, I guess. But anyway, so you could stream to Mixer like directly from your Xbox, and so Huey was doing Xbox streaming from Mixer, and then we realized, first of all, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have like a following or a community or anything like that, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll hop on Mixer. Sounds fun. And Mixer had really low latency streaming, and it had like a squad mode or something like that. I can't remember what they called it, team streaming or something. So it was really easy for us to just put each other up on the screen together, and watch each other's screens in like low latency and stream. So then we would stream together on Mixer, and so I wasn't really streaming on Twitch as much anymore. And I kind of did it more if I was gonna play and stream something that wasn't like with Huey, it was on Twitch, and if Huey and I were playing something, it was on Mixer.
Okay.
And so we did that for a pretty long time, and then we basically did that right up till the end, and then Mixer fell apart.
Yeah.
Huey was able to stream from his Xbox directly to Twitch, got that figured out. They had it set up so you could buy like cameras and stuff and plug them directly into your Xbox to have a camera. So that's what Huey did for like a very long time. And yeah, that's how we would stream together. Like you said, every Friday for the last like I don't know 6 years or something like that.
Long time.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was surprised it was that easy because I always thought that you needed like a PC and all kinds of equipment to stream. And then when Javin just plugged in his Kinect to the console and just basically had his chat up on his other computer or whatever, I'm like, well, fuck, I can do that. So
That's
I
that's not actually what I did. But I'm
Okay,
glad
I'm sorry.
I'm glad that inspired you to do that. But that's not actually what I
I
did.
said sorry again.
Oh, gotta get it.
Man, I'm doing bad today.
No, so what I did was I downloaded a program that let me use my Kinect through my computer as like a webcam,
All right.
and then you could do like fake green screen removal and stuff at the time. So if you look at some of those old clips, technically I have the cutout of me, but it's all like dancing static around the outside of me. It's not ideal. But that's what I was using the Kinect. But if you thought I plugged that directly into the Xbox and that's what got you to buy your camera, I mean, I'm glad it worked out. But I was doing like the remote play thing to my computer. So I was playing on my actual Xbox, but I was doing like a remote play on my computer and then using OBS with that remote play screen to show the Xbox. So it was way more convoluted than it needed to be, but it gave me a little more flexibility with some stuff. And like I said, I was kind of geeking out. Because I streamed other stuff too, right? I was streaming emulator, retro stuff on my PC and the VR stuff. So I had to kind of keep it a little more flexible, which is why I kept it on the PC at the time. But yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I definitely
super cut you off.
struggled in the meeting.
I said sorry.
You said sorry. I definitely had to. It was tough because the Xbox had to do everything right, so I had a lot of problems with like the quality and that kind of thing because not only was I playing the game on the console, but it was uploading it to Twitch or Lightstream was what the program was that I was using. So it took a lot of farting around to kind of figure it out. And even the camera, I think I had the camera or the Kinect was plugged in. Yeah, so it was doing the Xbox was trying to do everything right.
Yeah.
So it bogged it down quite a bit. So it took.
Yeah, and it was pretty new at the time too, right? Like
figuring.
not a lot of people were doing it that way at like right out the
No.
gate, and like the Xbox wasn't made for it to start because this was on the Xbox One. And yeah, it wasn't really made for it at the start. And yeah, I remember we would have times where we'd be playing certain games, and it's just like, well, and then you'd be like, "Okay, I'm going live," and then crash or something. It's like, okay, pause.
Yeah.
So I think I was probably a little.
You
bit...
kind of showed me the Lightstream thing, and then it wasn't so much the Xbox doing everything. It would like just upload it to Lightstream, which was just like the website, and then did overlays and then sent it over to Twitch. So it wasn't doing everything directly.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to add too, when we were doing Mixer, what was really cool is when the Xbox did do everything, I could have chat come up on the screen playing Xbox, like because Mixer was integrated so with everything. Like you could play and have chat on your TV, which was really cool. It's not like you didn't need like another setup, or it was easier having another setup. But anyway, I just remember that being kind of cool.
Yep.
I think PlayStation was a little bit ahead of Xbox when it came to console streaming, because I was a PS4 person back in kind of the times that you guys are talking about, where you were getting in the Mixer and everything, and I was streaming directly off of PS4 with the Twitch, and they had it integrated where you could have like the chat on screen and everything. My first streams were no cam, just sitting there playing games, no overlays, literally just the game is there playing, and you would see your message come up on the screen, if you chatted and stuff. And it was funny because I had no idea how streaming worked. I literally just clicked a button on my console one day and was like, whatever this is, okay, I'll try it. And like randomly, like some people would come in and like say stuff to me or talk to me. And so like I had no idea, like, you know, like you could, you know, just the simple thing of like being able to be rated by another channel was a completely foreign concept to me. So it would have like your viewers and how many messages you had received, like the counters up there. And I remember one day, and I didn't realize it until like later on, getting more into streaming and knowing about rating channels. Like I remember like the amount of people I had watching, like zooming up into like to the hundreds, and I'm like, oh, this thing's fucking broke. And like I just didn't change anything up, you know what I mean? And then later on I realized, like back then I'm like, damn, I probably got rated by somebody, you know what I mean? Like I actually had like people there, and I just like kept playing Destiny Strikes, you know? So
Yep.
but yeah, it was different, definitely different streaming back then. Like, this was probably like the 2014, 2015, right around that time is what I'm talking about here. So yeah, it was definitely different times during that period of time. So as you guys were getting into this, like what was did you have a moment that you can think of that where you're like, I'm going to do this more regularly? Like you were just really enjoying it and you were going to do it more than just for the social experience of being with each other?
For me, yes, for a bit. I talked about how we would play first-person shooters, and then I talked about how we'd do some like other stuff on my Twitch channel that was like non-FPS stuff.
Yeah.
And so I got, I don't know if you've ever heard of Games Done Quick, but it's this massive charity marathon that's been going on for years with speed running of various games. If you're on Twitch when it's happening, you'll be like, what is this channel with like hundreds of thousands of people watching it? That's what it is. And it's this massive thing. And so I remember watching that and being like, whoa, the speed running thing's pretty cool. I don't know if I could do it or not, but it looks pretty neat. I've been into emulation. For anybody who doesn't know, emulation is playing like old console games on like a computer or a phone or something. I've been into that since I was playing games through class in college. And so I saw this and I thought it was really cool. And then I learned about the land of ROM hacks. And so ROM hacks are basically people who have taken old games and have modified the code of old games, and then you could play them on console. So I play what are called randomizers now. Which basically take a game like Legend of the Zelda, Link to the Past, say, for Super Nintendo, and it shuffles it all around. So like the enemies are in different places and different items are in all the chests and stuff like that. And so it makes the game kind of neat for replayability. But there's other ones too. There's other ones where people will just like take a base game and like rewrite it and make the whole game different. And so I remember I was playing one of those for a little while, and I was streaming that for a bit. And people were like coming in and kind of like following the playthrough, and they'd like return for the playthrough, and they'd be like, oh, have you made it past this yet? Have you checked this out? Oh, that was really cool. And I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of a thing. I'm getting people coming back. And I wasn't an affiliate or anything at the time, but you know, people were coming back because they were interested in this really niche ROM hack of this game. And it wasn't like you were getting hordes of people, but it was kind of this neat thing where you ended up carving out this little niche and attracting people from these really specific communities. And so then I got into the randomizers. And the thing with randomizers is people like to race them. So you'll notice a lot of people, if you ever find them on Twitch playing retro games, there's a timer on the screen because people are usually trying to race them and go as fast as they can. And so I loved that because I'm like, wow, all the retro stuff that I love plus the competitive stuff, like, oof, man, you got me. Plus, honestly, the people in these kinds of communities are amazing. So what ended up happening is I kind of got into Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide is what it's called. And it's this randomizer for Final Fantasy VI. And I got into racing that. And I actually got like pretty good at it. Not to pump my own tires, but like at the time, like I was pretty good at it. And so people would come and watch pretty regularly when I was streaming it. And, you know, the numbers were kind of going up and I was getting regular numbers. I hit affiliate. I was like, kind of like, okay, like maybe this is like, how far can I ride the wave of this very niche community?
I remember you being very close to affiliate. I remember you being like, man, I'm really close. Like, if, I just gotta get my average viewers up and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like 2.9
really
average
cool.
viewers. Gotta do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then I remember like the strategy of Twitch, right? So I stopped streaming other stuff because I was only getting these people coming in while I was playing randomizers. And so, we talked about me and Huey playing on Mixer. I couldn't play that stuff on Twitch because I'd only end up with like 1 or 2 viewers because it was basically the 2 of us, right? Whereas if I was playing Final Fantasy VI and doing my racing kind of thing, I was getting, like 10 to 15 viewers. And so that was sort of a point in the stream where I stopped playing other stuff and I kind of just focused on doing randomizers. Okay. So I wasn't streaming anything else I was doing, and I was just doing the randomizers. And so that was probably the first point where I was like, maybe this can be a thing, right? Like hit affiliate, people are like, you're getting some subs, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Like I'm not a millionaire or anything like that, but it's like okay, like this is kind of neat, right? Like building up a community, building a group of online friends, which, like I said at the start, was the whole reason I like doing this in the first place is meeting people online and gaming with them and chatting with them while you're playing like that. It's so much more enjoyable. Mm-hmm. So I would say I've stepped back from that a little bit because what I found was happening was I was only streaming when I was playing randomizers. Mm-hmm. And like I love my social time with Huey. I love my social time with my family. I try to game with my family on Tuesday nights and just gaming with other people. I play Counter-Strike on Mondays and Thursdays. And so this is a lot of gaming nights that I'm not playing randomizers that are important to me like personally and socially. And so that meant that I had to fill a bunch of other nights with randomizers if I wanted to keep like a semi-regular schedule and keep viewers and stuff like that. And that was starting to like get into like my personal life, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm married and I can't, like I love gaming, but I can't just be gaming all the time, right? Yeah. And so, I was gaming a lot, like 7 days a week and like a lot in those 7 days, not just like a little bit here and there, like many hours every day gaming. And so I kind of had a moment where I was like, okay, I gotta like, let's just chill a little bit. I'm gonna stream other stuff now, which is why I've got like Huey and I are on our Friday nights. I've got, my Counter-Strike nights on Mondays and Thursdays. I'm just like, you know what? I don't really care what happens to the viewer count anymore. I just want to game and have fun. And if I'm going to be gaming and having fun, I might as well be streaming anyway. And so now I just kind of stream everything. And like, it's worked out. Like people stop by and watch other stuff. And the people, like the friends I've made along the way still come and watch me play other stuff, which is great. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's definitely, I think we've all had that point where we sort of think like, is this a thing? Like, can I make this a thing? And you have your like period of time where you kind of go for it. And then you either keep doing that or you kind of go like, this is a hobby, take a step back. Yep. And I'm definitely at that take a step back phase. I still love to do it. I still try to stream and I still try to make it like good when I'm doing it, but definitely had that like step back moment. Probably like a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Well, I think you bring up a really good point there where like, such a small percentage of people who stream do it to the point of success to where like it's like a monetary thing. You know what I mean? Like you make decent money off of it. You can do it full time. That's such a small percentage of people. And like the more you listen to a lot of big streamers and you always see like people go into their channels and be like, I want to do this for a living. How do I do this? And like, I've heard a lot of people to say like you sacrifice so much to get to that point that like you sacrifice family and friends and like different social things that are important to you because like you have to be on the grind. Like those first stages of it, like you have to work your regular full-time job still, but you have to be streaming full time as if it's a full-time job as well, if not more. Yeah. So if you're going to become a full-time streamer, you have to be putting in 40 plus hours a week into your streams, and it's just such a small percentage of people that can do that. And even you have plenty of examples of people who have tried that and burn out and not succeeded at it, or just hurt their life more than they help it. You know what I mean? So
yep. Yep.
Definitely
Like everything,
where
it's
I went
balance,
with
right?
It is balance. It should be balance, and unfortunately, people can't find that balance. So it's you have to know when to accept what it's going to be. And I
Yeah,
definitely, that resonates with me a lot. The way how you're saying, like, like it's just a hobby. It's just a thing. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
every once in a while, if I'm on, I'm going to be playing, and I know I'm going to be on for 4 or 5 hours, or just even a couple hours. Like, I'll fire up a stream, whatever. Whoever shows up to say hi, that's great.
Yeah.
So yeah,
yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we talk about the hours, and like if you're really going for it, it's not even just the hour of streaming, right? It's you're researching what games to play, maybe, and like tracking your metrics. You're making YouTube clips. You're potentially making YouTube videos. You're networking with other streamers. So you're
Hmm.
hanging out in their streams. You're talking in their
yeah,
stream. Like if you're like, and then like artwork, like you could either pay someone to do
Hmm.
that stuff, or if you're making it yourself, that takes so long. Oh my god, especially if you don't know
yeah.
what the hell you're doing.
Yep.
Um, and it's
If
just
I
yeah,
wasn't
it's a
gaming or
lot of
streaming,
hours.
I was glued to my phone,
Yeah.
and then like constantly, like I'm not spending time with my wife or the dogs, or you know what I mean. Like it
Yep.
was just like
Yep.
it was all consuming.
You've
So
got to be on Twitter. You've got to be on
definitely,
TikTok. You've got to be
yeah,
on this and that. And you have to
Yep.
have a
yeah.
Discord. And you have to be interacting with everybody on your Discord. It's like,
And then to not see it grow the way you want it to, right?
hmm
Because it's
Yeah.
so overpopulated and so watered down. You know what I mean? And I'm playing, I'm playing games that are like the most popular game, like Apex Legends is one of the biggest, Call of Duty and all that stuff, right? Like I'm picking like the biggest games that I enjoy playing that are like the most watered down to be found organically to find new
Yep.
followers and all that stuff,
yeah.
right? Like
Yep. Totally.
it's actually like um I don't know how to say this. Like I've always loved to watch Javin's channel grow the way it has because he has made all these followers and that, or like so organically because of the niche thing that he enjoys playing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's been neat to see. Like so,
That's
yeah,
another positive and negative aspect of it. And it's awesome because you found something that you really enjoy doing, and you're able to grow
right.
a community off of it. But then, like, there's sometimes where, like, for me
You feel
personally,
like
I
that's
used to,
all you're supposed to play.
like, oh, that's all I can play. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which we kind of alluded to. Jav kind of alluded to there. Whenever we were talking about the,
Yep.
Mixer and Twitch and that kind of stuff. So like you get like shoehorned into like, well, if I'm streaming, I have to be playing this. And I want to point out,
Yep.
Yeah.
Schwang actually just said, in the chat here, he said more or less described me in the last 5 minutes. Used to stream 8 to 10 hours multiple times a week. It was good for me and my family. Taking a step back has been a major blessing for him. Like, yeah, again, this resonating message that is like throughout the entire streaming community of like, boy, I really gave it a lot of my time, and then like you take that step back and you're like, oh, like this actually feels good to just like relax and like be a part of normal
Yeah.
society again. But not to bad. I mean,
Yep.
we're here streaming today. You know what I mean? Like it's what
Yeah.
we're doing. But I think all of us have hit that point of like, this is a hobby. This is something we do for fun, and who
Yeah.
shows up, and that's great. We're not, I mean, and maybe you guys are. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I'm not on the grind to become like full-time partner and this be like my
Oh fuck,
livelihood. You
not
know what I mean?
anymore.
So
Not anymore.
not anymore.
Definitely was like, and I feel like I went way overboard because I was doing like when Finest Nation started and we all
Yep.
joined that. Like I
Hmm.
thought that was gonna like I was so excited to ride that
Yeah.
all the way and like everybody grow, and I thought that was gonna be just so cool. Like I was like, everybody that was in Finest Nation knows how fucking excited I was about that.
Yeah.
Like I was so pumped when that happened and thought that was gonna just like blow up and take off. And then I was doing stuff like that, get the Gamer Goo thing and the Swift Grips like sponsorship, like all that sponsorship stuff. Like I was
Hmm.
like just hard pushing. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Like trying to get sponsors and do all that stuff and get your name out there more. Like
Mhm.
I was grinding that stuff so hard. But then I'm like, and I just wasn't. It was taking all the fun out of it. It was making everything so much more stressful. Like
Yeah.
it just not Finest Nation so much. Like I just mean
Just
like,
the general concept
all that
of
fun.
have the
Yeah.
time you
Yeah.
have to put into
Like
it.
you
Yeah.
got to get your like
Yeah.
gamer goo code out there so much, and just like on Twitter and social, and like just the grind was just too much.
Well,
Like I
it-
said,
yeah.
you
yeah,
just
I
gotta glued
agree.
to your phone. Like,
I agree with what
and
Wicked
went
said though. Like,
nowhere.
not regretting the hours. Like,
No.
No.
because it kind of got us
Yeah.
to where we are now, which is
Yeah.
like you said, you meet all these amazing people, and you end up having these online friends that you then it's just so same totally same thing. Don't regret it. Just definitely also glad to have made the like decision to maybe chill a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Yes.
so Bierce is in chat. Bierce is actually went to college with Bierce. We game. He's one of my buddies we game Counter Strike with, but I'll air some of his shit against his will. So Bierce streams as well, and I remember there was a while like Bierce was streaming Diablo 2, and for some reason it exploded. Like his stream just blew up. It was like Diablo 2 or Diablo 4 or whatever he was playing, but it exploded. And I remember like to exactly what we were talking about before, it was like, okay, we're gaming, it's Counter-Strike night, and it's like, well, I'm going to play Diablo because I've got like 200 people coming into my stream and I'm like raking in subs, and this is potentially like a real thing. And it's like, sorry boys, I got to play Diablo. And it's like, I get it, but at the same time I want to play Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that hype kind of died off, and I think Beerus missed playing Counter-Strike with us because we're all degenerates. D2R, yeah, all about the giveaways. That's right, all the giveaways and stuff like that. And like it was great while it lasted. And like honestly, there's actually guys we literally still play with like now from that original like explosion of community. Some of them stuck around after the giveaways stopped, which is cool. So it's one of those things where like not regretting it, but yeah. Ran out of Steam doing the same thing. Exactly. Yeah, totally pigeonholed. It's like, I want to play Counter-Strike. Okay. Like nobody's showing up. Throw on the D2R stream. All these people show up. It's like, but this isn't what I want to do. And you just kind of get to the point where you just do what you actually want to be doing instead of what you feel like you should be doing, and it's way better.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to throw a special shout out here too, because we're talking about all the connections and stuff that we make through streaming, and like Wicked Heart, he just like brought it up, like streaming literally changed my life so much, and like it's 100%.
In the background.
Yeah, I was going to do the special shout out, ladies and gentlemen, Wicked Heart, living with. So for those of you who don't know, Shabby Gypsy is my wife. And Wicked Heart, one of my best friends, just moved here from Pennsylvania and is living with us. We met through streaming and through Finest Nation. And he now works with us and is like picked up his life and moved all the way over here. Schwang Wallaby being one of his longtime best friends. Giblet is, am I allowed to say that? Sorry, I don't think it's a secret anymore. So like Giblet is his significant other. Like we all know each other through gaming. So like it's important to be like, man, we've made all these super important, amazing connections. So I 100% agree. Like nothing to regret is what I was trying to get back to what you were just talking about, Jav. Yeah. Like don't regret like any specific point of this, but yeah, like it kind of just goes to the whole conversation that we're talking about, like where we started the we have it labeled here, the evolution of our streams. You know what I mean? Like what it started as, what it turned into, and where we are today, and we brought up Finest Nation. I would not know Huey without Finest Nation Gaming. Huey and I, I know that we probably rehash conversations we've had in other shows, but like Huey and I's one of our first interactions with each other was through a common a friend who we had in common, the Better Doobie. It was like we were like all on Twitter, and some dude come like trolling him on Twitter, like advertising his stuff on Huey's post, and I just came in hot like telling this guy off like this isn't how you do this, like just kind of just
look at us now.
And now here we are, so we were literally trying to plan a trip to see each other this summer. Obviously didn't happen this summer, but it's going to happen eventually, hopefully. Whenever I come up that way, Jav, I can meet you as well. That would be nice.
I'm just down the road.
Oh, that's happening. If you come,
I would assume so. I would assume so.
Definitely.
But yeah, that again, just that message of like, Like we've all hit those points where we're putting a lot into it and we've sacrificed certain things, but like whenever we come out on the other side of it, like look at all the friendships we've made, the relationships that we've built, and like we just wouldn't know a lot of these people and everybody here in chat who we're always super thankful for to show up for these streams that, you know, was just like a random idea that Huey and I had discussed one day, and we put this Between Two Streamers podcast together. You know, it's just it's just crazy that where it's led us all, you know. So
It's so cool.
anyways,
So,
that was just a random tangent that I was going on because I wanted to point out Wicked Hard. The
gotta have
background he was
tangents on
saying.
this show.
Well,
The tangent show.
this is literally the tangent
I,
show. That is true.
I hate doing this, but I have to run to the bathroom. I'm very
Oh, okay, okay.
sorry. Too many coffees.
There's no such thing as
We're
too
back.
many coffees, but you know, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. So
Did he
yeah.
apologize? I think there might have been.
I
an
think there was
apology there.
I think there was one in there.
I think-
Oh yeah, we're adding
Somebody
one.
got the tape. Somebody checked the tape. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
one there.
can we get a clip? Can we clip that? We're adding one in.
We're adding one. Yeah, there's a like a sorry at intention. There was a sorry
Yeah,
intended.
it was
for sure.
there. It was there. It was well
Yeah.
disguised, but it
I
was
felt
there.
it. I felt it.
I felt the sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
exactly.
So, you know, I guess, you know, we can get into, you know, like because we've already kind of talked a little bit about it, but like we have other interests outside of gaming and streaming and that kind of stuff too. So, oh, actually, I do have one funny story though. But I don't know if we talked about this the other night. Because I try to get, you know, since we've got to know each other and obviously, you know, following you on Twitch now and stuff, I really like speedrunning. Like that's a category that I've always been super interested in. I used to watch like Borderlands speedruns. Just if you know, the game's done quick, the GDQ stuff has always been super interesting to me. I watch stuff like Elden Ring on there and like some of the Souls-like games that are designed to be like the most punishing games that people just like casually beat in a half an hour anymore. So what was it that got you into speedrunning? Because I know you said that you like those style of games, and you mostly speedrun like the old school, you know, pixelated games. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but like what got you into wanting to do speedruns on them?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna grab it. They're all the old pixelated games usually because I actually play them on my Super Nintendo, which is like right here.
Okay.
But I have a third-party controller I use for it. I was gonna grab my old school one, but like my Super Nintendo's sitting right here, so that's why they're all the old pixelated one, because I like playing on the old stuff. But as for what got me into it, it was kind of a series. It was just like following a trail of breadcrumbs, kind of on Twitch, from GDQ to following a certain streamer who was doing a speed run, and then they were doing randomizer stuff and ROM hacky type stuff, which I'd never done before. So I was doing some ROM hack type stuff, and then I started streaming that. And then from streaming that, some people came into the stream to help me out because they were better than I was, and they linked like a Discord. So I joined that Discord. And then so the thing about speedrunning is it seems like extremely difficult, and it is it's tough, but it seems out of reach, and it's not, because so think about a game like Zelda. Like, you know, most people who have played Zelda have beaten it, even if they've beaten it a lot of times. They'll say something like, I've beaten Zelda like 10 times. That's not a lot of times.
Yeah.
It is in like the grand scheme of things. But when it comes to speedrunning, it's not, right? I think the Zelda speedrun world record is like, I don't know, like an hour 20 or something like that. Maybe even less. And so if you think about a stream, like if you, I don't know, you rock like a 6-hour stream, you could beat the game like 4 times. And so, you know, like Final Fantasy VI, I've beaten that game like literally hundreds of times. And so there's one aspect, just the repetitive, like just play the game over and over and over again. Yeah. And then the other aspect is, like I said, about joining these Discord servers. So every game or like grouping of games has a community, every one of them, because and they're almost all about sharing ideas. Like, even though it's competitive, it's also very like, oh, I found this cool technique, check this out. Oh, also here's a tutorial of how to do it. I'm going to write it out and I'm going to make a YouTube video and everybody's going to know how to do this thing. And so it's competitive, but at the same time, people aren't like keeping secrets from one another. They're seeing each other do these things. And so what happens is you join up and you try to beat the game. And let's say the world record is like an hour 20, and it takes you 10 hours to beat the game. And you're like, wow, that was really bad. And then you're like, okay, but I learned a whole bunch of stuff. I read some guides or whatever, and now I beat the game in 7 hours. I just saved 3 hours off my time. And I know where I made a bunch of mistakes. Then you beat it again, and then you beat it in 6 hours, then 5 hours, then 4. And it especially at the start of speedrunning a game, the massive improvements you make at the start.
Yeah,
it's addictive.
Yeah,
right? It's like, ooh, and
you get that little dopamine
you're kind of constantly getting better.
You're like, ooh,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah, and then so you have that, and then I do the randomizer stuff.
Yeah,
which is kind of like a form of speedrunning, but you race the randomizers. So basically, what you do there is it's called a seed, but basically you randomize a version of the game, and then everyone will take the same randomized version of the game, and you'll all run that randomized version at the same time to see who can finish it first. And so you end up getting all these like it's a combination of strategy and execution, right? Because you could be the best on the gamepad or whatever, you could have the fastest reflexes and stuff like that, but a lot of it is actually about strategy too, right? Like planning your route, like what chests are you gonna open, what enemies are you gonna fight, how are you gonna, I equate it a lot to like poker, in the sense that it's luck because you don't know what you're gonna get, but it's also about strategy and probability and trying to get yourself in the best position you can. But yeah, so that's like really, if there's a game that you've played, I will say I don't recommend speedrunning anything you haven't played before. But if there's something that you've played before and you wanted to try speedrunning it, you would be surprised how easy it is to get into it and make like big gains right away, and then all of a sudden you're hooked, and now you're a speedrunner. Congratulations. There's leaderboards, right? Like there's leaderboards, there's racing, there's all these communities. Then you get sucked into the community, bam. And for some reason, the people who do these things are like the friendliest, nicest people in the world, usually. And so you just get sucked into these communities, and bam, now you're in the community. Now you have all these new online friends. Like it's just, it's really cool. It's really, so I'm deep into that.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about Final Fantasy VI a lot, but I also run like Earthbound, Secret of Evermore, Link to the Past. I've done some like N64 stuff with Wind Waker. I've done. And like speedrun is very loosely applied to a lot of those things. I'd say I can go fast in Earthbound and Final Fantasy. The rest of them are, but
you're
crazy
far
fun.
faster than average. That's for sure.
Yeah,
fair enough.
You've put enough time in that you're, as like I said, I've watched some of your speedrunning, which is funny, and which kind of goes back to the story I was telling too, of like when you get into a speedrun. Now I know that like when you're into it, like your chat is in like emote only, like you're kind of like you're zoned in. And I first learned this because like I was trying to be a good new friend, and I didn't know if you knew that you were in emote only. So I'm like getting a hold of Huey and being like, "Yo, you got to get a hold of Jav. His chat's in emote only. I don't know if he knows he's really into the game." And he's like, "No. It's like that's what he does." You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But
I've made the mistake as well.
Okay, so I'm not alone in this, but yeah, and I think that was what would you say, the Secrets of Evermore?
Secret of Evermore, yeah.
I believe that's what that was whenever I did that. So
yeah, so sometimes you're running and just trying to like get a good time and just practicing and playing the game for fun.
Yeah,
it's all for fun, caveat, but sometimes you're just playing for fun. Sometimes you're doing races and they're not like serious races, but sometimes like I play, like I'll be in a tournament or like in a league for these things, and it's not like, so don't get me wrong, I play a lot better. Like I love Twitch, but if I want to do well and I could just focus on the game, I'll do way better. But part of it too is, and it's kind of funny, these speedrunning things actually get a lot of people into streaming because you have to record your gameplay. Okay. You have to record, and some people will just like locally record and upload to YouTube or something like that. But a lot of people just stream to Twitch and then save the VOD or something like that. And so it actually gets a lot of people through that threshold, because if you want to compete, you have to stream.
Yeah.
Even it doesn't have to be a good stream, but you have to stream.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so a lot of people get into it for that kind of a thing. So when I'm in that mode, usually I shut my camera off. I try to put up a message if I'm thinking about it, and I'll take my headset off and I'll just play like this because it's so much nicer on my ears. But yeah, I should really get some earbuds or something like that, because it's just even just now I just did it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice.
So are there any? What would you say is your most successful speed run?
Like game or like individual run?
Personal accomplishment, one you feel the best about. Let's go with that.
Personal accomplishment.
Most
So
proud.
yeah, so it's kind of funny. So I've come second in a lot of tournaments.
Oh, okay.
So I would say my most proud is, so there's these randomizer things. They've been around for quite a long time, but they've sort of exploded since the pandemic, because a lot of people went on Twitch, saw a lot of stuff they'd never known existed before, and then bam, like a lot of these communities have exploded in size.
Yeah.
And so I actually started the first league for the Final Fantasy VI speed run. And then I think it was the second year or the third year, somebody else picked it up, and it got a lot more official. There's like a website for it. There's leaderboards that are maintained and all this kind of stuff. And so there's different divisions, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. I think we had something like 80 people in it or something like that. And I ended up making it into the highest division, and then played through that season. And I ended up coming second overall. So I was basically second overall in the league after an 8-week competition. So it wasn't just like a fluke thing. And came second overall of anybody in the community at the time through the league. So I was like up there. So I'm like runner up for that season. So it's like recorded, but it would have been nice to win. But the person who win is like nuts at the game. So like I'm okay with it. But yeah, I would say coming second for that season was probably my best accomplishment in that, because it like I said, it was second out of something like, I don't know, 80 or 100 people or something like that. Like it's a pretty big number. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's probably the best. That's probably the best one.
Nice. All right. Do you have any goals in mind? Like, do you like what's no?
No. So much like streaming.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with racing. Got way too into it. Was getting way too far towards the top. Took it way too seriously.
Yeah.
And was burning out.
Yeah.
And so I have the opposite of goals now. Now I just play, like I still enter the leagues and tournaments and stuff like that, but I just don't practice anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'll play for fun, but I used to do like focused practices about like execution and strategy and like taking notes and timing and stuff. Like I don't do any of that crap anymore. Now I just play. Like literally joined a tournament that started this past week, and I hadn't run a seed since the end of the last league, and I ran my first one on like Friday afternoon. I did a practice just to break some of the rust off and just to play, but like that was the first one I've ran in weeks, and I did no practices leading up. I didn't even know what the settings were until I got into the race. And you know, I'm cool with that. That's where I want to be now. Like I'm happy to just hop in and play and see how I do, and like I'm still competing. I still want to do well, but it's not like I'm no longer trying to be the best in the community.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, it was just taking too much out of me.
I don't mind.
Plus, people are like really, really good.
Well, and that's one of those things that like there's people that probably they just stay practicing constantly.
Yeah.
You know, so I cannot imagine. I wouldn't say the pressure of going up against people like that if you've got your realistic goals in mind. You know what I mean? But like if you wanted to be a part of that community and be a professional player at it, and like any of the speedrunning games, not just particularly your tournament, but any tournament, you know, like just the immense amount of pressure that a quarter of a second, you know, like it can be your make or break. Like I personally can't. I'm fascinated with speedrunning, but I could never put that kind of pressure on myself. I would break mentally. And
I would say the key is to set personal goals against yourself as opposed to competing with other people, right?
That makes sense.
It's like you're not trying to beat the world record of an hour. You're trying to beat your own record of 10 hours. Yeah. And then you beat it by getting 9. And then it's more of, it's kind of like golf, right? Like if that's something that anybody does. Like if you're focusing on how well everybody else is doing, you're going to have a terrible time. Yeah. And sometimes you're going to have a terrible time even if you focus on yourself. But it's really more about personal improvement than it is about, otherwise you go nuts. And like I said, so there is speedrunning, which is like speedrunning of vanilla games. When I say vanilla, I mean like not modified, like original
how
games.
they came out.
Yeah, and then there's like randomizer running or racing.
Yeah.
And the thing, I equated it to poker before, and it's like sometimes you'll lose, and it's literally luck.
Yeah.
Overall, long term, it's definitely skill. The good players win more than they lose. But sometimes you just get a bad beat. Sometimes it's like, oh, I did this. Someone else that you're racing against is like, I just decided to do this random thing one time, and I found this thing, and it unlocked the whole seed for me, and it became super easy. And like you didn't do that, and there's no logical reason to do that, and they beat you, and you just want to pull your hair out, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Stepping back.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough one. What's up?
Yep.
I just saw Wicked's comment before. We should pick a community or pick a game and do a community speedrun challenge.
Ooh, see, but
I think the only one I would want to do is Resident Evil 2, and I don't think we're gonna get.
Oh
Mike
my
to play
God.
It's too
Resident Evil
scary.
2 again.
I-
Yeah, exactly.
You're picking literally the game I told you scared me as a child. You're bringing up intentionally attacking me with these childhood traumas.
I'm just saying that's the
with
only one.
updated
Like,
graphics.
I'll actually say the only like I said, I played a lot of Call of Duty, Apex, and that kind of stuff before, and that's what I mostly was streaming. And then I love Resident Evil 2, and when I started streaming that a little bit, that was when I started getting more organic new viewers because I wasn't playing a popular game like that. The question I often got was, "Are you speedrunning?" And I'm like,
Right.
"No, I'm just playing for fun because I love this game." But I could see where what I mean. I was surprised that came up, and I saw that different kind of community of enjoying that kind of game and doing that kind of thing to speedrun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one thing I didn't really talk about, but like that you don't realize. So when you're playing through a game, you're sort of encountering things you may or may not remember they're even in the game, and you're kind of figuring your way through it. When you're speedrunning, you're basically like your first speedrun, you have a guide here that's telling you exactly what to do. Right? You're not figuring it out the first time. You're just following this guide and trying to execute the guide as well as you can.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get to a point where you're like, oh, I want to tweak this and maybe change this and make little tweaks here and there. But it's like, it's not like you're trying to figure it out like you were when you played it the first time. So you're like, oh, this guy can run, this randomizer in an hour and a half, and that game took me 20 hours. But you were literally, as a human being, solving puzzles and discovering stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, no, I'm going to go here because this is like, you could run it like Zelda, for example. You don't need to open every chest. You might need like one chest. So you run into a place, you do it, and you leave. And you end up like creating a route and you run it. And it's way less so like a game like Resident Evil 2, it would be the same kind of thing, right? You're not exploring every room, you're not solving puzzles. It's like go here, get this, go here, get this, get 3 herbs, get this, mix this, go here,
like
kill this guy, go here.
Shaving time. Like I think it was 8 hours the first time I did it, like 6 hours the second time I played that game. I think I played it like 6 or 7 times. Like just got better every time. So it's my own goals.
Yeah, for sure.
And But going back to Wicked's comment about the community speed run, I have to I have to defer back to Jav's original assessment. Like you don't speed run a game that you're new at, you speed run a game that you know. So like it would be, as much as it would be cool, do we all in this chat and in this channel right now all have a game that we have beaten multiple times and that we know? Huey was just putting his hand down there. What do you got? I just saw a judo chop over there.
Not speedrunning, but I still think it would be cool to figure out. And I thought Gamer alluded to this before, like there was something about it. But one thing that was really, really cool to do is try and do like a golf tournament thing, and everybody play the 2K23 Tiger Woods thing that we
all did jump into golf
try
there
and
for
figure
a
out
while.
how to do that because a bunch of us bought that game. I thought that'd be really fun to do, to try and whatever
do a tournament of some kind
board or a thing, and we do a tournament and everybody keeps score, and
every week somebody could create a custom map and we could all try to best score the custom map. Or the Harry Potter map, or the Lord of the Rings one. Lord of the Rings was like the really cool map. Yep, that was a sweet game though. That was a good game.
We should try and we'll have to plan that in your Discord or something, and whoever's got the game or wants to play, we can
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
For the record, I was just rubbing my eye. I turned back and saw what it looked like on camera. I was not picking my nose. I was rubbing my eye.
It's okay. It's you know, no holds barred here. Okay, be yourself. It's okay.
Yeah,
We're not
it's all
judging.
good.
Okay, so let's get outside of gaming. Other interests is something that we had that we wanted to talk about too. So, what's some other hobbies that you guys have?
So I do like to go down ski hills fast.
So a
And,
skier.
like, this is something
I
ski.
also like to do that.
Really?
Yeah. We will, because we live close to one another, and we don't live near any big mountains or anything like that. But we've got a few hills that we can go to. So that's like, you know, we started talking and we're like, oh yeah, let's play games together or whatever. And then we're talking about stuff, and it's like, I also ski. You snowboard? Okay, let's go. So we try to get out and do that a few times a year. I used to work shift back in the early 2010s, kind of something like that. And so I had this really weird shift where I was like back and forth nights and days, had days off in the middle of the week and all that kind of stuff. And so if you have the opportunity to have days off in the middle of the week and you like skiing and you can go on like a Tuesday, it's the best.
Yeah.
Nobody's there.
The hill is yours.
Yeah, the hill is yours. You go up the hill, you go down the hill. You go up the hill, you go down the hill. There's no lines. There's no nothing. It's probably half price or cheap or something like that. And so I got, as with pretty much all of my interests, which I'm discovering from having this conversation, I got way too into it for a while, and was doing it a ton. And like now I just do it for fun instead of trying to like learn how to do jumps and all that kind of crazy stuff. I'm also like 36, so it's just things break now. But yeah, so Huey and I, we'll go together, and like, again, he's the instigator all the time, which I cannot express my appreciation for enough.
I'm glad you appreciate it, because I feel I'm like, man, he's got to be so fucking sick of me all the time.
No, it just seems that way because I never initiate anything because I'm terrible like that. So
no, I'm glad.
yeah, no, so I super
feel like
appreciate
I bug
it.
everybody.
No, I need you to do it.
True.
Otherwise, I wouldn't do anything. I just sit in this chair all the time. But yeah, so we'll go the one hill we go to most often is like an hour and a half away. So we'll get together and we'll go skiing all day. Slightly shorter days than it used to be. As you've
I'm
gotten
good for
older,
4
but-
hours. There's a half day lift there. You can get the full day lift ticket or a half day. I'm usually, when I hit that 4 hours, I'm like, I've had enough. My legs are sore. I'm good.
I
Yeah,
haven't
we'll just
I haven't done
sitting
any
in the
of those
chairlift,
things.
looking around, and nice day. Hey, what
I-
a nice day.
I snowboarded one time back when I was like 15 years old, and other than that, I've never been skiing or snowboarding since, and I'm approaching 40 now, so it's been a very long
It's one of those
time.
weird things, right? Because like if you don't know how to do it, it's not that it's necessarily hard to get into, but it takes time to get to the point where it's fun.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people learned how to do it when they were kids. Not everybody, but a lot of people learned how to do it when they were kids. When that was the time when your parents just put you into things, whether you kind of wanted to
Yeah.
do them or not, and you learned stuff, and then you soaked it up like a sponge because you were a child, and then now you can do that thing. And so like I'm lucky that I learned how to skate and ski, Canadian kid, like as a kid, because now, you know, if I want to go play hockey, I don't really play hockey anymore. I used to. But, you know, I don't know, if somebody was like, hey, you want to go to the pond and shoot some pucks? Yeah, sure. Throw my skates on. I know how to skate, right? You want to go to the ski hill? Yeah, sure. I can ski black diamonds, no problem. Like, I'll throw my skis on. If I had to learn that now, I don't know that it would be very fun.
Yeah, see, that's where
Like,
I'm
how
at.
far would it be? How far away would a ski hill be for you, Mike? I don't know if you just said that,
Probably
but, like,
4 hours minimum.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like you're not
yeah.
just gonna do that on a weekend.
Like I could
on a
walk out of,
Saturday.
like, we're in the Midwest
Pretty
here
flat.
in the U.S. and like, so I can practically walk outside and see the next state over. It's so flat.
Yeah.
So it would take me.
Not a lot
I
of
think the
skiing.
closest is like 3 or 4 hours away. I'd have to make my way up to Wisconsin in order to get anything like that. So now we're not talking like a day trip, or we're talking like we'd have to make a whole weekend out of this, getting up there and going and doing it
Exactly.
for something
Yeah.
that as a 40-year-old man, like I bent over to pick up a crumb yesterday and hurt my back and had to take like ibuprofen. Okay, so
I
I can't
hear ya. I
imagine
hear ya.
slapping on some skis or a snowboard at my age with my health issues and being able to be not even be good, but to have fun doing so. Like I'm glad you put it that way. It's like it's not about being
I
good. It's
love
more about
doing
just
it.
going out and enjoying and doing it. But it'd be very
Yeah.
hard for me to enjoy it. So, but if they have a nice coffee place where I could watch other people having fun,
There you go.
I am 100% in. All right,
When
Yep,
you
they
and
should have like nice
Shabby and
bonfires
Wicked come to
outside.
visit,
right?
yeah,
Yep.
when you guys come to visit,
Yep.
you can just chill in the chalet.
Yeah, sit around the bonfire, right?
Yeah,
Sit
Yes.
around one of those
exactly.
bonfires that's
I
outside. And watch
I
us
would
come
be
down the hill.
I'd be the South Park episode where they were on the ski mountain where the ski instructors like
Pizza, French
pizza,
fries.
French fries, pizza. I'd be like on the kiddie slope doing pizza and French fries, you know.
I French fried when I should have pizza.
Like, I totally agree with you though, Mike. Because like I love it. Like,
Yeah.
I love flying down that hill. But as I get older, I'm like terrified to get hurt now. Like, or like
Yeah.
not terrified, but it's just like, man, I'm not I'm not as young as we once were, and
Yeah.
you know, if I wipe out, it's gonna hurt for a few days, and you know, what
It's
I mean?
it's
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 not
a
the
it's a
same.
realistic part of our lives, and not only that,
Not
like
as
you have
fearless.
to you have to think about so much other stuff. Like if I went out and tried to enjoy
Yeah.
something like that and got hurt, like I'm literally
Yeah.
going to come home and potentially be on short-term disability from my job. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I got
Yeah.
bills
Yeah.
to pay. Is going to learning how to ski really worth it right now? So
Yeah.
as stupid as that
Like, I'm
sounds, you
confident.
know.
I'm confident in my abilities,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And Jav, I wear helmets, you know, and I stick away
Yep.
from or I stay away from like the terrain park now, doing jumps and rails and shit. Like I'm not too into that anymore. I wiped out pretty hard a long time ago, and the rails kind of scare me now. So,
Yep.
but like, I still like getting some speed and just going down, and you know, Jav and I can hold our own and stay close
Yeah.
to each other,
Nice.
and you know, go flying down the hill and have some fun. So.
Nice.
I will say, and it's like, there's something about going fast, and I think a lot of people like going fast, but it's something about, I don't know, like skiing and other things, like going fast without a motor, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like going fast and just, it's different. Like I
Yeah.
went windsurfing
Yeah.
one time, and I got up and I was pointed in a straight line, so I didn't have to do anything, and the wind picked up and it carried me. And just being able to go fast without like loudness,
Yes.
without motor, just hearing like when you're going down the ski hill, you just hear your skis or your snowboard, right? When you're
Yep.
in the windsurfing, you just hear the water and the wind. Like I like to do mountain biking. You know, you hit a hill and you're going really fast, and all you hear is like the wind whipping past your head, and maybe that little clicking that bikes do sometimes. But it's just it's different. Like, don't get me wrong, going fast in a car is really sweet too, but it's weird. It's just it's different when it's like a I don't know, like a natural speed. It's not natural, but you know what I mean. Yeah,
Not self-
Going
After
fast
you
with
propelled,
physics. Yeah.
self-propelled. Yeah,
Yeah.
going fast with physics.
Yeah,
Fun with
exactly.
science.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like I said, it's not something that obviously it's like if I was younger and lived in an area, I could see myself being in the same boat as you guys. Like I probably would have enjoyed doing that more, but I'm 4 hours away from it now, and this is the closest I've ever lived to that. So like
Right.
back whenever I
Yeah.
grew up, it was more like 6 to 7 hours away. And you know, my parents weren't gonna like pack up and go for a weekend trip up to the ski hills. They're like, no. So I was more of a four-wheeling kid, you know, out in the woods on four-wheelers and dirt bikes and stuff like that. You know, hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff was more of our
Fit in
activities.
perfect up here.
Yeah.
I don't hunt or fish anymore. I did grow up. I did grow up as a very avid hunter and fisherman, but you know, kind of grew out of those stages. I don't do it anymore, but yeah, I totally get what you guys are talking about. And like Schwain just said there, you know, like the adrenaline rush that you get doing those kind of things is it can be addicting. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's something that like you crave that rush. So every once in a while, get down and doing that kind of stuff is fun. So heck yeah. So
totally.
being up in Canada, do you guys do like the snowmobiling stuff too?
I grew up with it. I
Yeah?
don't do it anymore. Turns
Okay.
out when your parents aren't paying for it and you have to pay for it yourself, it's like a lot more expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
So I grew up. I've mentioned it a couple times, but I grew up kind of in a like out in the country, more rural area, and I was really lucky because my house was literally down the road from an old rail bed, and they love turning old rail beds into snowmobile trails. And so my dad got into it when I was like in elementary school, and he bought an old 1988 Yamaha Phaser, which is like a pretty robust little machine. It's not going to break any speed records or anything like that, but it's pretty robust. And then he just got that fairly cheap to see if he even wanted to do this more. And he ended up making a bunch of friends at work, and all these guys like doing it and stuff like that. So he ended up upgrading his. And by that point, I was like 14. And he's like, okay, so he gave me the Phaser. And him and I would go do like nice long snowmobiling trips together. You spend the whole day.
Yep.
The whole day out there, and I loved it. I always said too, like after I moved up here, I was like, I'm gonna move up there, I'm gonna get a house, I'm gonna have a snowmobile and stuff like that. I did most of those things, but yeah, as much as I enjoyed it, like looking at it now, like the feasibility of buying a machine, buying a trailer, setting aside like an entire weekend to do that, plus all the costs and maintenance. It's one of those things where like if you have more hobbies than that, it's kind of hard to sustain it. And I want to have more hobbies than that. So I love it, and it's amazing. It's just don't do it anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe someday. Maybe I'll have a midlife crisis and I'll pick one up in a few years.
That is something that people down here do, because like the last couple of winters haven't been bad at all, but we do have quite bad winters with lots of snow. So there is quite a big snowmobiling crowd down here, even though it is, relatively flat ground. But the people do go on the weekend trips. And then Chibi brought up that also like jet skiing, or as they called it, sea doing, is what she referred to it as. So we got like a lot of lakes and ponds, and we do have a lot of people that go out on, like boating is big down here. Having the jet skis and stuff for the kids to play on. But again, like you're talking, Jav, like the feasibility of owning a boat and the trailer to haul it around and a place to store it, and or the jet skis, and like if
the trick is to have a friend with a boat. You want to have a friend with a boat. That's the best. Or like a couple that likes to water ski.
Yep.
And they need a spotter. That's
okay.
the play.
I need Huey to come down here to make me more friends that only
That's right, yeah.
Because I'm not out there making these friends. So
I need you guys to move here. Come to us.
That's true.
You can work at the plant with me
lots
and
of lakes
Jav.
and rivers
Like
and
everybody.
stuff. Yeah.
Everybody come.
Everybody go work at the plant with Huey. All right. Well,
exactly.
let me know when you're taking resumes, and we'll start making plans.
Let's go. You can apply right now.
Yeah. There's a difference now, though. Like, so when I first got hired up here, I got hired in a group of like 10 guys right out of school. So we all came out of school. We all got hired at the same time as part of this initiative to get younger people back and replenish staff or whatever. Anyway, so it was like 10 single dudes that are all in their like early 20s, got real jobs all of a sudden. And so a year or two in, I'd say like 3 of the 10 bought boats, and I was not one of them. But it became this thing to just like go water skiing like almost every weekend, because someone was going out with their boat, and they needed 1 or 2 more people at least to spot and drive the boat and stuff like that. And so it was beautiful, because like we live on a river with like surrounded by lakes and stuff like that as well, and there's always somewhere beautiful to go, and there's always room somewhere to go water skiing and spend some time and stuff like that. And then now it's kind of funny. So just the nature of things, like a bunch of those people have moved away.
Yeah.
A few of them still work here, but maybe don't have their boats and stuff anymore. And then my friends who do have boats now have more like big kid boats, more like party boats, not party boats, but like pontoon boats, or like overnight large boats.
Yeah.
Which is great for them, but I don't get to go water skiing anymore, which is too bad, because I really miss that.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to convince my friends to buy boats.
Yeah. I've always kind of said, like, for all that extra stuff, like you said, snowmobiling and boating and all that stuff, like, I find, like, by the time you do all the normal responsibility stuff, right, like, if I'm going to go out and do that kind of stuff, I'm going to go skiing. Like, I'm not going to buy a snowmobile. If I get a weekend that's free, I'm going to go snowboard.
Yeah.
If I get a weekend that's free in the summer, I'm going to go golfing. Like, if I have time, I'm going to go do that stuff. So I don't need a 4-wheeler. I don't need a snowmobile. I don't have, like, if I have time, I'm going to do the things that, like, my first priority picks.
Yeah.
and it's hard to justify a snowmobile that I'm going to use once or twice, like maybe once or twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not my main hobby. So
I had a wild hair a
love to
couple of
have it.
summers ago that I was wanting to buy a smaller boat, and you know, but thank God the wife talked me out of that because I don't think I would have been responsible enough to maintain it properly and keep up on
Right.
all the registration and everything. But I did because we have a couple of small lakes that we live by that would have been 5 minutes away. We could have plopped the boat down in there and had a little, you know, day trip. So literally 5 minutes away, we've got a lake that would have been close enough to put one down on. But again, the overall maintenance and all that kind of stuff, I just don't know if it would have been worth it. So yeah, boats are money pits, like Wicked said. Like everything's always breaking on boats, so you're constantly putting money into it. So yeah, my personal hobbies, well, to be, you know, to no one's surprise, I'm sure, is I mean, you know, obviously we talked about games a lot, but more indoor activities. I'm a huge movie guy. Movies, music, concerts. I do enjoy going to concerts and such, which I think we all, I think we share some common interests in music. I'm more of a anything from classical rock to heavy metal, you know, but no, I'm just not a big like rapper country fan or anything like that. But I do enjoy like going to some good rock concerts. We just went to one last weekend and saw Limp Bizkit perform. So I was like a long time dream of mine come true. All right, as a grumpy Midwestern kid, Limp Bizkit
Did you
was.
show Fred your tattoo?
No, I did not show Fred my tattoo. No, no.
Oh,
I don't think that I would have been able to make my way close enough for that to happen. So, but hell of a big crowd there
That's a
last
shame.
weekend. But you know that was, as I've actually had a couple of concerts this year that have been kind of like bucket list concerts that we went to. Limp Bizkit being one of them, and then we also went and saw a band called the Murder Dolls earlier in the year. Ellie and I went and saw the Murder Dolls, and these are both bands from like whenever I was like a late teenager that like the Murder Dolls specifically have lost a couple of members due to, you know, unfortunately passing away. So it was kind of one of those like, oh, I'll never get to see them live, you know. But like their current, you know, their lead singer with his current band decided to do like a Murder Dolls tour for their like 20-year anniversary, and him and his band went around and played their music. So, you know, original lead singer and three of the actual members were there. So I got to see a couple concerts this year that were definitely ones that I never thought I'd ever get to see again. Obviously, Limp Bizkit's been up and down as to whether or not they're actually still together as a band, or if they're touring, or if they're putting out music. But we got to go see that, and but yeah, you know, so music, movies, stuff like that are definitely some of my bigger hobbies. So yeah, today we're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine with a large group of friends. So
Nice.
and,
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about live music. Like, so
Oh.
music's a funny thing, right? Because like, I mean, all this stuff is subjective, but there's like music is so broad. You know, even like you said, we have some common interests there, but I'm sure we have some less uncommon aspects of it too, because you know, it's just these big circles. It's like this big Venn diagram with lots of overlap and then lots of stuff outside the overlap too.
Yep.
And it's like, it's kind of funny with live music. It's different. Yeah. Because I grew up like rock, right? Like it had to be rock. And if it wasn't rock, it sucks. And that was how it was ingrained into my brain. I've evolved somewhat since then, but that's when I was growing up, that's what it was. It was classic rock, modern rock, whatever. Metal is too hard. Rap sucks. Country sucks. Rock. And I was like, okay, if this is what I've been told is
I
correct,
like
so
everything you just said right there, except for metal's too hard, just so you know.
But since I've grown up, you know, like I found like, oh, maybe there's actually decent music like here and there. And like, yeah, I've gotten harder with my taste. I love some metal. I won't say I like all metal, but I also wouldn't say I like all rock either. Right. Yeah. So, but one that took me by surprise. So again, we've talked about it before, but the area we live in is real, like, you know, hunt, fish, country music stuff.
Oh yeah.
Rural area. And so I grew up with hating country, like hating. Like I never really liked metal, and I never really liked rap, but I hated country. They were the enemy. And you know, I'll say some aspects of them still are. But my wife is from the area, and she's a big country fan, right? And this was a common talking point between us. And we went and saw the Zach Brown band play in Toronto at I forget. There's like an amphitheater there. It's changed names. Some alcohol-sponsored amphitheater in Toronto. I don't know who's
Molson
sponsoring it now.
Canadian.
It used to be the Molson Amphitheater. Now it's some other stage.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Anyway, and so she like had me listen to them a bit, and I was like, well, these guys don't suck as much as most country does. And so and I was like, okay, and I got listening to that, and they had some pretty catchy stuff. They had some twangy stuff, but it was generally like it was either tongue in cheek or it wasn't like painful. Like it was kind of self-aware, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty good, and they had a pretty good sound, and I liked it. So we went to this concert, and they're one of my favorite bands now because of the show we went to. They played they're a country band. They played their songs. They also played Metallica, Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers. They played The Devil Went Down to Georgia, but they did like a metal remix of it. Like the live show is not the album. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm so glad I got to go to that show in person, because I never would have got to experience that just listening to their recorded stuff, their stuff on the radio, or even the little things, right? Like you get a song that and then the band decides to like extend the solo or turn it into like this like rotating solo where it's like the drummer's turn, the guitarist's turn, the vocalist will do some crazy vocal thing, and it just rotates around, and it's like, I mean, like live music, like I'm super lucky, because I mentioned that I basically only have friends these days because Huey's a beacon and gathers us all together. And I'm lucky that my wife is kind of the same way. Like what I bring to the party is that I'm down to participate, but I'm probably not going to initiate, and I'm probably not going to think of it or be thoughtful or any of the nice stuff that I should be doing. But I'm down, right? I'm here. I'm down. Let's go. And so I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky because my wife is the person who's like, hey, do you want to go see this show? Do you want to do this? Do you want to go travel to this place? Do you want to do this? And I'm always just like, yeah, let's do it. Sounds good. Thanks for coming up with the idea.
Yeah.
So like I've got all the concerts and stuff that I've gotten to see basically is because of her picking them out and coming up with stuff for us to go to, which is pretty awesome.
I am surprised we have yet to go to a concert. That has not happened yet.
It just hasn't happened yet.
I've tried to do the Slipknot. Slipknot's come up, and I think I've ended up going with Rob there a few times. But
the couple. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. Yeah. But yes, I agree. It does. It does need to happen. Yeah.
So
I'm the same way.
When I come visit, we're going to a rock concert. Got it. Check.
Yes.
Putting it on the list.
But I'm kind of the same way to piggyback. Like, Mrs. Huey was really into country. And I'm all over the place. I like a little bit of everything, mostly rock and metal though. But like, Mrs. Huey kind of like was a long time ago really got into Keith Urban, and so I'm like, I knew she really liked him. And then like Taylor Swift, before she was Taylor Swift, like huge, only had the first album out, opened for Keith Urban, and I'm like, that's it. That's what it was actually. Sorry. So Mrs. Huey really liked Taylor Swift at the time. She was opening for Keith Urban. And so I got tickets for that show because I knew she'd really enjoy it, and never really had no idea who Keith Urban was, but knew Taylor Swift from the radio, and went to that show. And Keith Urban was like amazing. He can play the guitar, like it's wild to watch him play the guitar and put on like this amazing show. And now we've seen him like 3-4 times. Like it's like, Slipknot, like it's like a spectacle. You know what I mean? Like Keith Urban playing and running around that stadium, like it was just like a good show and good music. So I never would have been to that, never would have seen that if it wasn't, you know what I mean, for
and it's like taste in music. And it's like you mentioned too, you've been to see them like 3 or 4 times and it was awesome. We've hung out quite a bit. I don't think we've ever decided to put Keith Urban on and just listen to it together.
No.
Right. and like I like the Zach Brown band. I don't think they're showing up on my playlists very often.
Right.
To be honest.
Yeah.
And that's just it, right? The difference between like a live show and just listening to the music, like between the energy and all that kind of stuff. Like it's different.
You did.
Yep, count it.
Another one.
Whoa. Do you double up on them because you just sorried the sorry?
No.
I don't know.
Oh,
okay.
When we go snowboarding, We're doing Zach Brown and Keith Urban. just
Zach
to
Brown
laugh.
and Keith Urban. Okay, that sounds good. And we're belting it. Yeah, so we didn't
Yes.
talk about that when we
Yeah.
come back
I
from the
want to
ski
kiss
hill.
a girl. Keith Urban.
So when we go skiing or snowboarding and we come back, so it's about an hour and a half down the road for me, a little longer for Huey because he lives in the other direction, and or not in the other direction, just a little further away from the hill than I do. And we'll always carpool together. Huey picks me up on the way, and the way home it's always energy drinks because we're exhausted, right? Like we only do like a half day ski now, but we're exhausted when we're done the day. Like legs are melted and we're just tired. And it's like, okay, well, we need to live through this drive home. The weather might not be great because it's the winter. And so it's energy drinks and it's loud music cranked as loud as it's cranked pretty loud. And then I've got the phone
To drive
the
safely.
DJ. To drive safely. It's all about safety. It's all about
drive.
safety.
Yes,
It's all about safety.
We're not irresponsible here.
No, we're doing this for safety so we can stay awake and live.
This message has been brought to you by Monster Energy. Drive safe, Monster Energy.
Drive safe, Monster Energy. But yeah, so we'll crank the tunes and we've got our
Jazz the
playlist and
DJ.
we'll just belt the songs out as we go.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that it's loud enough that we can belt in safety.
And not be embarrassed.
Yeah, and not feel bad about
And just
the
take
belting.
turns. Like Jab picks a song, I pick a song. Jab picks a song, I pick a song, and we're just our favorite songs.
Oh, I love that.
Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
It's a good time.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
So
now we're gonna do some
other-
Slipknot. Oh, sorry. I was
Slipknot.
gonna say, so now we're gonna do some Slipknot and then
You said
Keith
it too.
Urban
Oh,
and
he
then
did.
Pantera.
He did.
Oh, I did
That
it.
was a-
I
that
did.
was
You're
a
right.
Bad one.
I was gonna say we're gonna do Slipknot and then Keith Urban and then like Pantera and then a little
Yeah.
Zach Brown. Just
Yes.
What a
Well,
combination
Presidents of
you
the
guys
United
are going to be cruising to.
yeah.
That's a wild list.
Oh boy.
Oh, nice.
So outside of now, to mention too, you also like to play music.
I do. Well, yeah. Yes.
You have
I
the
do enjoy
guitar.
playing music from time to time. Yeah.
Mike also. You guys share that. I do not play any musical instruments.
It has been so long since I've even picked up my guitar, though, that it would be embarrassing to even, like, I would have to start over again practically to even start playing guitar. Now, I know there's some muscle memory and some of that kind of stuff in there, but yeah, like it was more of just a casual pick at the strings, try to learn how to play some stuff. But yeah, definitely I've always been a fan of the guitar. And so when it comes to music, if it wins me over if it has good guitar parts. Like I am a sucker for some good guitar playing.
Yeah. Yeah, so I talked earlier, like I lived out in the country and it was a half-hour drive to get to town. And so a lot of time spent listening to the radio. So I grew up a long time not having a particularly, I'll say, deep cut appreciation. Like a lot of what I know growing up with was on the radio, right? As opposed to like, oh, I had this album or I had this, I like this band, I had all of their albums and I know all their deep cuts and stuff. I was more like, if it was on the radio, I probably know it really well.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, hit or miss. Anyway, but I loved music. I was always singing along in the car. I was always all that kind of stuff. Yes, drum slut. I'm with you. So we were growing up or whatever, and like my parents were great, and they were very good. I'm very lucky. And they were very good about, like, if I wanted to do something, they would try to give me the opportunity to do it. So I played like every sport growing up as a kid. Not forever. Like if I didn't like it, then we stopped. But it was like, you're going to have the chance to at least try to like something. So they knew I liked music. I was always singing along in the car and all this kind of stuff. And I really wanted drums. And I was like, oh, I love drums. I love percussion. Neil Peart,
Always wanted to
like
do that,
Rush.
yeah.
Like I always want drums, blah, blah, blah. And my parents were like, cool, here's a guitar. Right? This is much quieter. Enjoy your nylon string acoustic guitar that you can practice in the other room. And if you hate it, we'll consider drums. But here's a guitar, scratch the itch. And that was probably around grade 9. I had an uncle who taught me how to play some stuff. Grades 11 and 12, I was able to take guitar in school, which was handy because that was kind of like free lessons during the day, and getting to play guitar instead of doing math was kind of cool. And so I basically learned, like, I know my chords and I can do a little plucking in here and stuff like that, but I pretty much like it. Basically, all just morphed into me really liking to play around a campfire. Like that's pretty much the jam. Like if give me an acoustic guitar and a campfire with a bunch of people, we'll sing some stuff together. Like that's the dream. I could live like that. That's what I play for. So, like you said, not picking up a guitar. Like I haven't picked up my guitars in quite a long time either. My strings are probably not in great shape, and they're certainly not in tune.
Yeah.
But you know, if there was a campfire tonight, I'd pick it up and I'd be able to strum my way through some stuff for sure, and I'd enjoy it, even though I haven't probably played a song for like 2.5 years. But yeah, because like COVID kind of screwed that, because that was the jam. It was like summertime, you know, you have like 5 or 6 campfires a year or whatever at various places. You bring the guitars. There's always somebody else who's got a guitar too. And I used to do I didn't want to be the guy who showed up with the guitar in hand. You know, you never want to be that guy.
Yep.
So I would always bring the guitar and keep it in the vehicle, right? And then if somebody mentioned it, then you pull it out and then it's available. But you don't want to be the guy who just like walks in and be like, hey, I know you were all having conversations and roasting marshmallows, but I'm going to be the center of attention now and play some music, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
So don't want to be that guy. But yeah,
if you can all quit talking,
I do.
Here's some Wonderwall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
No,
Nice.
it's music's. I don't know. Growing up, music's always played a big part for my life. I've always just felt connected to music. You know what I mean? I'm even playing or not playing, just listening to it, listening to the messages of the music, like just like good songwriting and good lyrics. You know, I'd have to reference like some of my more classic rock stuff that I really enjoy. It'd be like Queen, The Doors, stuff like that. Like those are, you know, just a couple of bands that I really love because I always felt like their music had like really, really deep lyrics. You know what I mean? So like the songwriter, the singer, you know, reached out making those connections around the world through music, you know what I mean? And just how it impacts so many people in so many different ways is
So do you have the thing where like do you have like certain memories that are tied to songs? Like for me, for example, I have specific, like I remember like driving in the car playing Zelda Link's Awakening on my Game Boy, because that was the Game Boy Zelda for the original one, and playing what was it, Cumbersome by Seven Mary 3. And it's just like this random memory, and I don't know if it's just because that song was like on the radio new when I got that, but whenever I hear that song, I swear to God, I'm like transported back to the back of the car, like on the beach, because that game has like a beach, just like killing the Octoroks on the beach with the sword. And like I don't know, like there's a few, it's weird and it's totally random, but there's like a few songs where it's like that song brings me to this place. And it's I don't know, it's such a cool thing.
I don't know if my examples would be like as specific, but I could definitely think of like times in my life going through different things where like different genres of music and different artists I would connect with better during those times. So that'd be more my connection, not necessarily a specific thing, but like, you know, like my more high school rebellious days. I remember what kind of music I was listening to back at that time.
Mike with hair.
You know, Mike with hair, Mike with a mohawk, bud. I used to like rock
nice.
the punk rock mohawk. And then, like, you know, getting older, you know, and, you know, having kids and the things I'm listening to. So, like, just the different genres as my mood swings, you know what I mean? Like, what was I listening to at that time? I could definitely make connections with stuff like that. But yeah. What about you, Huey?
Music memories?
Yeah. Do you have the same connection with music like we're talking about? Because some people don't. Like, some people are just like, I just fucking like music, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's totally cool. Yeah.
Put him on the spot.
More like that? I don't know. I never really thought about it. I
Yeah.
think I'm more like that.
I don't know. I remember I used to read books a lot. I enjoy reading, but I don't usually do it as much as I used to as a kid.
Yeah.
Again, back of the car when driving around, and like I still, like, you know, there's a band called Big Wreck, which is a Canadian band, so you may or may not know them.
Yep.
Because it turns out, a little caveat here, but like, so Canada has this rule that Canadian radio stations and TV have to have a certain percentage of Canadian content on them.
Okay.
So I didn't know that growing up. So there were bands that I listened to that were popular and everybody knew them. But like, as soon as you'd go south of the border, nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. Because apparently these big bands that were on the radio all the time never made it south of the border, and I only know them because Canadian content. So that's why, like, a band like Big Wreck, I'm like, I don't know how far they made it into the States. But anyway, so Big Wreck, they have a song called That Song. That's the name of the song, is That Song. And I remember there's a lyric in it, and it says something like, I saw the back of your head in a crowd, but don't turn around. It's never you. It would ruin those memories. And I was reading the first book of the Han Solo trilogy at the time, and there was like something that was happening in that book where Han Solo was looking for this woman in a crowd, this redheaded woman in a crowd, and then he ended up catching up to her, and it wasn't her. And for some reason, like, that must have, again, it must have came out at the same time I was reading that book, but it's like that song brings me to that place. And like, I don't know, it's not like every song does it for everything, but there are definitely a few things where it's just like, that song is, I don't know what the neurons in my brains are doing, but that is a hard link.
That connection has been made.
Yeah.
Listen, I just had a weird brain fart moment there because you started talking about south of the border, and I'm like, what's this have to do with going to Mexico? Like, okay, I caught myself back up very quickly that you guys is south of the border is the United States. I confused myself.
Yeah.
Yes. So, anyways, yeah, nice. So, okay, well, we've got to talk about movies though, because we always talk a lot about movies. So, do you have a particular genre of movie or like a favorite movie in general?
So I'm weird because my memory's really bad, and so like I love movies, but like you'll be like, oh, what was your favorite part? And like, I don't know. Like, what's your favorite movie? I don't know. So I will say, I'll say growing up, I'm
just gonna take some
really
notes over here. If we
Shawshank.
do a movie show, don't bring Jav. Music show is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, when I was growing up, my favorite movie was Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Which is not appropriate for a kid. But the caveat, it turns out, is that I used to watch a taped version that my parents had from TV where they cut the commercials out, and it was like the TBS censored version, and I didn't really know that. And so I remember watching like the real thing and like not realizing, like I was like, oh, that's what happened. I thought they were just beating him up, right? And like I was like, whoa, I should not have been watching this movie as a kid.
Yep.
But anyway, I love that movie.
Nice.
Good.
I mean, I remember, so when I became old enough to stay home, so like grade 9-ish, maybe a little before that, but let's say around grade 9, like in the summers, I wasn't really a camp kid. I might do a camp here and there, but I would just stay home all summer and play video games and watch movies and shit. When I wasn't going to like friends' houses. Yeah. So my parents had a cabinet of VHS movies that I watched over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
So like there are a bunch there. Like I watched like Monty Python's Holy Grail, all of the old Star Trek movies. If anybody knows those, like Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock, I've watched the shit out of those. What are some other? Demolition Man. I really shouldn't have been watching that as a kid, but classic.
Oh man, Wesley Snipes back in the day. Come on now.
Oh yeah, good stuff. I'll say in more recent history. So, and this is just because my wife likes it for some reason. I don't know why, because it's not her genre of movie, but she loves John Wick. I think it's because she really likes animals. And so we always have to watch the movie starting about 15 to 16 minutes in, and something occurred earlier that we're never going to watch again. And then it's just 4 movies of vengeance for this dog. And she's like, yeah, that's right. And so we'll watch that together. And I love watching that with her. So I enjoy the John Wick movies. One that like surprised me. Have you seen Dredd?
Yeah.
Like the Carl Urban version of Dredd, like the newer one.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. I love that movie.
Most people do. Like, that is a
It's
good
just pure action.
That is a good Judge Dredd movie. That is a solid
It is.
movie. And
It
God,
is.
there was so much talk back and forth about a sequel for that, and they never did it. And like that is so just like that's the most successful Dredd adaptation that's ever been made.
Oh, it was
and
so
they just
good. It was
never did
so
anything
good.
with it. Oh, that
I
was
mean,
the
he
good one.
nailed
I have to
it. I don't
revisit
think
that
he
one.
shows an emotion through the whole thing. Like he just
Yeah.
crushed it. And then the cinematography is great, and just like it's a very simple story, but they just nailed it. I think
Yep.
that's what I like about John Wick too. Honestly, like it's not a complicated story. It's cool world building because they don't necessarily tell you what's going on, right? It's just here's this kind of like Dread. Here's this dystopian
Crazy
world.
universe.
It exists. There's colonies. Deal with it. There's judges. Anyway, here you go. And John Wick's kind of the same thing. There's assassins. It's a secret underworld. It's pretty cool. That's all you need to know. And then it's just like it's like, okay, here's kind of like this cool world building that we did where we didn't give you all the information, so you're like learning as you go.
Yeah.
A very simple story, like you need to go and do like John Wick, like you need to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Like, you need to stay alive. You
Yeah.
need to kill this other guy. And so like really simple, and then just very artistic like cinematography and action scenes between them.
Really well
I
choreographed
think-
fight scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a
Yeah.
dance.
It's
So
it's like
cool.
a dance, yeah. Like I always said John Wick is like it reminds me of like a kung fu movie with guns.
Yeah.
Right.
Because kung fu movies, that's what they're all about, right? Is like cool action sequences that are artistic, or like at least that's what the good ones are.
Yeah.
Like they don't have they don't have to be realistic or anything like that. They just have to be really cool and artistic sequences. And
Yeah.
just like super appreciate that about those movies. So
Chibi,
anyway,
Chibi,
that's my
Chibi brought
super
up a
long
movie.
answer to
No. Well, Chibi
Oh,
brought up
yeah.
a movie that makes me curious whether or not you liked it or not, because like you talked about like the good cinematography and like well choreographed and that kind of stuff. She said she forgot the name of the movie, which Schwang already said is the movie Wanted, but where they're
Wanted,
like
yeah.
curving the bullets and that kind of stuff. Like I know
Yeah.
that movie didn't get a lot of love whenever it came out, but I really liked that movie.
Wanted is one of those movies for me that's like Waterworld. Remember Waterworld with Kevin
I
Costner?
loved Waterworld. Nobody.
I
they-
love Waterworld.
Supposedly,
You know
it's
what
like one of the
those movies
worst
are?
movies ever made, but I loved that
Exactly.
movie.
Exactly. That so Waterworld, like Wanted, is one of those movies that I liked before I was told I wasn't allowed to like that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I still like it. I'm not going to change my guns, but I was lucky that I never had my thoughts about the movie tainted by what I was told to think ahead of time,
Yep.
which is good. Because I remember that was another one of our VHS specials at home, like Waterworld
Exactly,
taped
me
off
too.
TBS.
Yep. I was just listening to a guy talk about like ranking movies and that kind of stuff, and he made a connection with the movie Waterworld that I've never thought about. He said it's Mad Max on water.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
100%.
like I
Absolutely.
never thought about that, but it's 100% what it is,
Absolutely.
you know? So like substitute desert
but-
with ocean, and there it is. And
So that's how I felt
Costner
about
kills,
Wanted.
but- Okay.
Turn the brain off. It's the same kind of thing. It's this weird like assassin society that works. Forget physics. They can curve bullets. Just deal with it.
Yeah.
And sit back and watch.
Yep.
And it's like sounds good to me.
Yep. I
Everybody,
agree.
feel free to go back and watch our Morgan Freeman episode of Between Two Streamers, where we got pretty in depth with Wanted. And I'm actually not going to lie, I'm pretty surprised that Wanted has come up now in 2 of our episodes.
2 episodes now we have talked about this movie.
Never would
Guess
have
I need to
thought
watch
we would
Waterworld
have
now.
touched
Yes,
on that
Wicked. You
movie.
absolutely need to watch Waterworld.
Yeah, dude,
probably
we're watching
later today.
Waterworld. It's happening.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's-
But
it's a
go
good
back and watch,
movie. And
check out our Morgan Freeman episode. That was
yes,
a good time.
the Morgan Freeman episode was a good episode. There was a lot of obscure movies brought up in that episode that we talked about too.
Yeah.
Ironically, I have to add
Shawshank
because
was
we
too.
talked about Shawshank in that same episode.
Shawshank
too,
was brought up. It was all Morgan Freeman.
yeah, so Morgan Freeman episode revisited here for a short period of time
Yeah.
during the show. But yeah, Waterworld, man, I love Waterworld. But like you said, it's that brings up another good point. Like I guess it's more of like the age of information that we live in today, and like how it can potentially skew what your opinion of things may be, because like we're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine today, all right? Now, back in the day, it just would have been a movie that existed that I bought tickets for and I'm looking forward to. I'm going to go enjoy. But if you go on the internet and look up everything, it's like, these people hype it up. These people say this about it. These people are saying that it's terrible for these reasons and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you can't even go to a movie without like having just like a blank opinion anymore, because it's so, the hype is just every which direction. So like it's hard to shut your brain off and just go in and be like, I'm either going to enjoy this or I'm not, you know? So
yeah, I actually try like to actively not see trailers and read reviews for things because of that. Because even if it's like, so you can see those things and be like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna be swayed by this, but like subconsciously you probably are anyway, right? So it's like, I just try to avoid it completely.
Yeah.
Or like when people are like, I'm not going to tell you any spoilers, but it was really good. I'm like, I don't even want to know that.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know that, because now I know that you think it's really good, and I know the kind of movies you like. So now I know what I'm going. And like, I don't even want to know that. I just want to watch it and form my own opinion first.
Yep.
And it's really hard to do that now. Like back, like there's lots of stuff I grew up with that I was apparently supposed to hate that, I didn't.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like the speaking of Kevin Costner again, like the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie with Alan Rickman.
Yeah. And Morgan Freeman.
I love that movie. I love that movie. And Morgan Freeman. That's right. Absolutely. The Painted Man.
Yes, The Painted Man. I know. I loved that movie. It was fantastic.
But, and then I found out later they're like, it's terrible. His acting is terrible. I'm like, what are you talking about? This movie's amazing. Christian Slater.
Yep. Yeah, the cast that is in that movie does a fantastic job with the material that they're given, and it was an enjoyable experience. But yeah, exactly. No, we're not allowed to just enjoy things anymore. Everything. Everybody has to have an opinion, and you have to share it. So.
Coming to you from the Between Two Screamers podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Go watch Shawshank.
I found that I don't like wasting my time now with bad movies.
Yeah.
So I'm the opposite, where I'm like, because I don't like I don't download. I usually rent them off the Xbox. I pay the $6 or $7, get the quality. Like I've never like bootleg movies or got into that. So like if I'm paying money to rent this movie, I don't want to be disappointed or pissed off. Like, so I'm totally guilty of looking up like before we rent something, I'm always looking up whether or not. And I still sometimes there's something that gets really good reviews that I wasn't really into. Like Dune, the first Dune movie, I'm like, that wasn't for me. But it's like highly.
Wait, when you say the first Dune movie, do you mean like the remake or the original?
The remake.
The remake. Like you didn't like the first Dune movie?
The remake? No.
We can't do this anymore. I'm sorry.
I'm just like, it was just too much. It was not what I was expecting. It was just too much for me.
See,
not what I was expecting.
That is 100% my style of science fiction. Then when Dune 2 was coming, like I couldn't have been more excited for the sequel. Like and you know, cool. Like it's but that's my style of universe. Like I put that above like Star Wars and Star Trek, and I love both of those things. But Dune is like I just love the storyline and the world of it and that kind of stuff. The politics of it really intrigues me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or I feel
Oppenheimer. Like I just couldn't. That was not my cup of tea.
And I told you to go watch. I told you how amazing it was.
Fucking boring to me. I can't follow what the fuck is going on. Like,
yep.
I'm not liking this at all. And I love Christopher Nolan. And I was so excited to see that. And like, I'm like, I want to leave. I don't know what the fuck is going on anymore. There's so many different storylines. I can't follow this.
And that was one you saw before me.
Highly rated.
You saw before me, and you're like, I'm not sharing my opinion. Immediately, the alarms in my head were going off. Like, ding, ding, ding. You didn't like this one, but no, like I get you. I get you with that.
So even looking at reviews and stuff, it still doesn't fully give away whatever. But there's just certain things where you can tell. Like the latest Ghostbusters, the Frozen Empire one. I remember seeing like IGN gave it like a 4 out of 10, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
But I still watched it because I'm like, I liked the last one, and it's probably going to be okay. And you know what? I wouldn't probably give it much more than a 4. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't brutal, but like, it wasn't like stellar, like amazing, but it was fun to watch. And
Yeah, I'm
whatever,
about
so-
halfway through. I was watching it Friday with the kids and then had some other things I had to get up and do, so I got to finish it still. But like, I've really enjoyed the first half of that movie that I saw. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's a
Yeah.
Ghostbusters movie. It's not.
So-
I mean, it's not. It doesn't. It's not living up to the. So okay, let me ask you this then: were you a big fan of the original Ghostbusters movies?
Yeah.
Is your opinion of the original Ghostbusters movies skewing your view of the newer Ghostbusters movies? Because we are living in a day and age where like they're making sequels to movies that were made 30 years ago. Things that like we grew up with and we loved. And like the original Ghostbusters is like a damn near perfect movie in my opinion. That's just about 4 dudes who make a business. Like they're entrepreneurs for lack of a better term. That just was like, well, we'll go fucking do this now. You know what I mean? And then like the comedy and that kind of stuff is really like it's subtle, but it's like it's there. It's realistic comedy. It's not like in your face trying to make a joke or anything. So these newer Ghostbusters movies aren't that, but no. Go ahead,
I think
sorry.
you'll find when you finish
sorry.
Frozen Empire. Nice.
Sorry.
I think you'll find when you finish Frozen Empire that it was a lot of build up for not a great finish or ending.
Okay.
That's where I was kind of like,
All right.
it's a lot of build up for not a lot of whatever. So it just, I don't know. I think that could have been a better. The climax was not
All right.
well executed. I think it could have been done better. So
I think
it's just stuff like that.
Yeah. It kind of brings up an interesting thing, right? Like about like, is it a good movie? Is it a good Ghostbusters movie? Like I'm trying to think of like you hear that a lot when people criticize things. They're like, it's a good game, but it's not a good
just
game.
the
Or it's
editing,
not a
just
good
like
this game.
editing, writing was just not.
Yeah.
It didn't flow like it wasn't done well like that. It just wasn't put together well.
So that's more of a criticism to like what Jav's saying. Like, was it a good movie? Yeah. You're saying it wasn't necessarily a good movie. Right. You're not comparing it to the Ghostbusters franchise. You're saying in general, it didn't feel like a good movie.
Yeah,
and I can respect
how
that.
It was done.
How it was done. I 100% can respect that. But then Wicked also brought up a good point too, that I'm probably the worst person to be sitting here critiquing movies because I watch trash movies for fun. I hear a movie is terrible and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm in. Let's go check this out.
Have you seen Velocipaster yet?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I've seen Velocipaster. Yeah. Amazing movie. Yeah. Loved every minute of it. You know,
the montages and music selections are something. If you haven't seen Velocipaster yet, absolutely pay full price and watch that.
Listen, Jav, if you want to go down that route, then let me challenge you to go ahead and go watch Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. That's a good one.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one. I watched Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and that was a pretty good one.
That was fun. Yeah,
a lot of cinematography there. Although I wasn't a huge fan of the turn that they made at the end when they made him old and stuff. Yeah. I kind of liked it better when he was young and actually fighting and killing vampires. Because he was basically like a superhero. And then all of a sudden they're just like, and then 50 years later the war rages on. Like what?
Yeah,
what happened
the
to this
time
movie?
Jump. Yes. Well, that movie was actually based off of a novel.
Oh, was it? I didn't actually know that.
I've read the book. I read the book before the movie was even planned. So yes,
that's hilarious. Yes. Have you seen Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
Oh yeah,
that's a good one.
Absolutely.
I like that one quite a bit, Mr. Darcy.
Our newest ones that Wick and I have been watching is the so there's a current cinematic universe that's being built for Winnie the Pooh. Started off, the first movie is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and then part 2, and then they have a Bambi movie that's coming out. These are all like B movie schlock horror movies, and they're calling it the Pooniverse. Is what this universe is called, is the Pooniverse, and I am excited because they're actually leading up to an Avengers style team up of all of these old Disney icon characters that are actually like
Sick.
horror villains who chase
Now
after
we
the
are.
survivors of their movie. And I'm like, yes, like
That's
I don't
funny.
care how much it costs. I'm in. I am 100% in on this idea. Do you need investors? I'll give you my $5. Like, what do you need to make this real? You know, so. I'm probably terrible at giving my opinions on movies because I do like what Huey was saying, like, you know, you get caught up in the reviews and stuff and you hear that it's trash, but then like the more I hear it's trash, the more I'm like, all right, let's go. Like let's check
Except
this
for
out.
Bad Boys.
Except for Bad Boys.
Zombievers is also one. Zombievers.
The Zombieverse? Wait.
No, Zombievers, like the
Oh,
little animals with the
Zombievers.
teeth
Yeah.
that chew on trees.
Yes,
Yeah,
Zombievers. Yep. And then they made a sequel to that one as well. Oh, I mean,
They did. I haven't seen the sequel yet. Yeah,
me
it's on the
neither.
list.
Me neither.
Yeah, I would never watch these by myself, but my wife loves the just horrible movies. So I get sucked into them.
Not
They're something else.
Yep.
So I'll have to tell her about Blood and Honey.
Blood and Honey
that's
1
right
and
up her
2.
alley.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. So you'll have to let me know what she thinks whenever she makes
Yeah,
it through. That
definitely will do.
Granted, go into it knowing these are bad movies. Just
I have to.
shut your
Yeah.
brain off and enjoy the spectacle. You know. So, anyways, yeah. So you now that you got me all excited and riled up, so you could probably tell where my taste in movies actually lies is in like the horror genre and the crappy schlocky movies. But yeah. That's my main gig.
Yeah, my thing was always, so I've always been like, we'll say skittish. We talked about Resident Evil. We talked about horror games in VR at the start of the podcast today. So like horror movies, not for me.
Okay.
But so my coping mechanism has always been to be like one of those people who talks throughout the whole movie and makes fun of everything that's happening at the time. That's like my horror movie cope. So it works out when you're watching these absolutely terrible movies because I'm kind of already doing that anyway. Yeah. And it fits in a lot better with that than say something like House on Haunted Hill or The Ring or something that's actually trying to be scary.
Yeah.
And these more like goofball scary movies where you're just chirping the movie the whole time you're watching it. Oh, that's the best.
But that's what those movies are meant for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not meant for sitting there silently taking it seriously. They're meant for the laughs and fun of it. So,
Yep.
Terrifier.
Yep, totally.
Terrifier 3 is getting ready to come out in October. You guys haven't seen Terrifier series?
No, haven't. No.
It is
Hasn't been on my watch list so far.
very gory. So, anyways, yep.
Nice.
Well, I do know we haven't specifically said it here as we've gone through, and we obviously are all reading chat as it goes through. But as we are talking, if you have any other questions or things for us, please make sure that you're throwing them in chat so that we continue on. And you know, if you guys have anything you'd like to ask us or want to discuss with us, please feel free to chime in here. So yeah. Sorry, I just want to throw that. I said sorry. Just wanted to throw that in there real quick because
11.
Gal. 11.
Yep, I was number 10 and
Remember our
11.
previous record.
Ooh, I think we have a record that was pretty high. I thought we had a pretty good one. I don't know. It's never hit the 20s. I know that, but it's definitely been in the teens before.
I said it before, but I'm actively trying not to say it.
Yes.
Actively. I apologize.
This
We
was
run into
your
this all the
idea.
time.
This whole thing
we'll-
was your idea.
I know. Well, because Huey and I will play Rocket League together. It's been actually a long time since we did that, but we'd play Rocket League together. And I don't know if you've ever played Rocket League, but like you're driving around with cars trying to hit the soccer ball. Unless you're very, very good at it, it's hard to hit it intentionally. And so and you're like looking at the ball. So imagine driving around looking at the sky. You're going to crash into some stuff.
Yep.
And so we are constantly either like missing passes to one another or stealing the ball from one another or crashing into each other. And it's just every time, sorry, or like somebody will miss an easy save because you just like accidentally flipped out of the way or something like that. And we're like, no more sorries, like no more apologies. You can stop apologizing, because every time we'd play, it was just this sorry fest, and we'd never stop apologizing to each other because neither of us are particularly amazing at the game.
You could actually do it in the little preset chat too, right? You could hit
That's
like
right.
the D-pad,
That's right.
and it would be like you'd press up, down, left, or right. It would give you preset things that would pop up in the chat on the screen, and sorry was one of them. So like, there was one time I think we were playing with Jim, and we kept spamming like "what a save" and "sorry," and we just driving around like actually trying to play, and just "sorry" just kept getting spammed through the whole game or whatever. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. Classic.
All of those times we just said it there do not count.
No, those were
count.
examples of sorries, not actual sorries. Yes, I agree.
Correct.
I have never played a single match of Rocket League in my entire life.
That's a good time.
It's a lot like skiing or snowboarding. It's a little rough to start.
Yeah.
Hard to get used to. Yeah.
Once you get it, I always say with that game, as soon as you're able to fly and hit the ball on purpose, it's like
I still can't.
It's like a different game.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden it clicks, and it's a different
like when you really learn the mechanics of it and get it down better. Yeah. I get that.
Javin can time it pretty well. I cannot. I usually end up under or above it or whatever. I miss the
and then sorry.
Sorry. I work on centering it for Javin. I do the setups. I do the passing. I set it up, and then Javin knocks it in.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's kind of our.
Wicked says they were champion. Wicked was better than me then. I think I only ever got up to the top of diamond. I never actually quite made it to champ. Made it to like diamond, either 1 or 3. I can't remember which way the scale goes, but I was on the edge of champ. I never actually quite made it there. But yeah,
it's been a while. That was another good one.
It's been a long time.
Just crank tunes and play Rocket League. That's how we started our LAN nerd out nights. We just fucking crank tunes and play Rocket League.
And how we'd finish them. Remember falling asleep with the controller in our hands, and he's just like, we're playing, and then the cars are just like driving up the walls forward, and it's like, Jav, wake up!
Time for bed.
Yeah, just like falling asleep with your finger on the trigger.
Those used to be like 1 or 2 a.m. nights. For me now, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock nights, and I'm like passing out at the controller.
Sure. Wicked will let you know for sure, man.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, but I've still got it installed. It's still there.
Yep, me too. Yep.
Nice. No, yeah, I've never been a Rocket League guy. Whenever it first came out, I don't know what I was into playing at the time. I've always been more of like a survival game, RPG, MMO guy, stuff like that. So I think I saw so it's soccer with cars. Like, no, I don't want to play that. And I just never had. I was never around people that were playing it at the time. So, but yeah, the more I've heard people talk about it, like everybody always has positive experiences in Rocket League. Like everybody I know and talk to they're like, it's so much fun when you get on with friends and play. So, one of these days, maybe I'm gonna have to download it and play.
Yeah,
experience.
Well, I'm remembering wrong. I think Huey got me into it. I think it's one of those games I got because Huey basically told me to get it. I think
it was cheap or something. It was on sale when it came out. I don't remember.
Yeah,
because I remember I had the same feeling. Honestly, I was like, soccer with cars. I'm like, I'm just gonna be driving around and I'm gonna be hitting this thing. It's not gonna go where I want it to go. It's gonna suck.
Yep.
And then it didn't.
I don't remember how I got it.
Well, it's good. It's good to hear that because that's the same opinion I had, but I just never gave it a chance. So maybe I will enjoy it.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah. Well, I'll have to set that up when we get a free Friday and we want to have some fun with that. We'll Schwang and Wicked, and we'll set up
There you go.
We'll set up a few games there. That'll be fun.
Set up a little 2v2 Rocket League.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Nice. See, hey, we're making friends. Look at that. Aww. Nice. Awesome.
Well, on our list here, the last thing I kind of have is food.
Oh yeah, I did.
Favorite foods and Canadian foods.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Jav.
Well, I'm very simple person. I could eat pizza and burgers for every single meal for the rest of my entire life, and I would be fine. And some people are like, "You're exaggerating."
Yes. No.
Some people are like, "You're
I
exaggerating.
could do
You couldn't do that." Yeah, I really could. I remember
Yeah.
when I first started working up here, I went to McDonald's, and I ordered 20 cheeseburgers, and they gave it to me in a big bag, and I ate for basically a week, maybe not even a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I wasn't trying to do a challenge or anything. I just wanted cheeseburgers. So I went and got 20 McDoubles or whatever, and I threw that bag in the fridge, and I just crushed burgers. And I'll tell you, by the 20th burger at the end, I wanted more. I was sad that I was out of burgers. So that's my relationship with
You
food.
and
I'll eat
Mike
all
weren't
kinds of
friends
stuff.
before. You're friends now.
Yep.
I'll eat all kinds of stuff, but honestly, pizza, burgers, I'll eat those forever. I fucking love them. They're so good.
I remember going on vacation with my family down south one time to an all-inclusive resort, and we had French fries every day. And pretty sure we could, I could definitely survive on French fries
Yep.
every day.
Oh man.
So
Are you I actually don't know this. Are you a poutine guy, Huey?
I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Because fries doesn't mean poutine. You might not like them both.
No, I know.
You might not.
No, I know.
Can we please first explain exactly what the hell that is? We don't know what
How
that
do
is
you
down
not
here.
know what that is?
We don't have that down here.
Okay.
All right.
How?
It's a somewhat
I
controversial
don't get
subject
it.
in Canada,
Okay.
depending on where you are. But anyway,
I love that.
it is
You
fries.
will love it.
It is fries, cheese, and gravy. Specifically, cheese curds,
Okay.
like white cheese curds. Can't just be shredded cheddar.
Okay.
Like that's wrong. So yeah,
It
fries,
happens, though. It definitely
white.
happens, but
I mean, you'll eat it, but that's not poutine, and like a lot of people get really upset about it. Like
They get mad.
way too upset. So yeah, fries, white cheese curds, like squeakier the better, and gravy.
Gravy.
And then there's the gravy is a controversial topic. I'm partial to a dark gravy,
Okay.
like a very dark gravy. Some people prefer like a light brown gravy.
Okay.
I think, me personally, I think dark gravy is the play. Nice, dark, salty gravy over white cheese curds. That is a poutine. That's a traditional poutine.
Okay.
And then they've started sort of like creating poutines of various types, right? So there's
Oh my god.
you can get
insane.
like you could get like
bacon and
bacon
fucking all that
poutine
stuff.
and
Yeah.
it's one of those things you just throw it in there
Breakfast
with those other
poutines
things.
are-
Breakfast poutine, crack an egg on top or something.
All right.
I like a Newfie poutine actually. So out in Newfoundland, and they basically it's like stuffing, like turkey stuffing.
Yeah.
They'll throw that on there with the chicken or with the
Fries.
with the gravy and the fries and the cheese curds. So
Hmm.
anyway, yeah, it's controversial.
So to your original question, I like
Yes.
them, but it's not my go-to. I prefer like dipping fries in gravy
Yep.
or
Yep.
that kind of thing. I find it gets like soggy, like because the gravy just gets it like sewer, and then the French fries have no fucking
Yeah, they're
stability
swimming.
anymore.
They're
I don't
swimming.
like it when they're like swimming.
Yeah.
I like the fresh. You know what I mean? Like when it's
I do.
just like
I
the
do.
fries are still solid
Yep.
and the
Maybe a little
gravy is
crisp
just
to 'em.
put on. They're still crispy. I like that.
Yep.
Therefore, I kind of like dipping my fries more. But every once in a while, I will do poutine. But
So I will
Not
say
my
I'm a supporter of doing poutine correctly, but I will also say I'm a supporter of not shaming people for liking the food that they like. I don't like when people like if you literally told me you prefer a shredded cheddar gravy fry situation.
I don't like
will
the curd.
say
I will say that.
I will say that's
like
not poutine. I will say that. But I will also say that's totally fine, right? Like
Yes.
yeah, that looks
I would've
about
said
right.
I'd
That's
like-
about right.
The curd's weird.
Okay, so that needs way more cheese and way more gravy.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's pretty close. Like the fact that there's cheese there that doesn't have gravy on it is wild to me. And it sort of looks like it's layered.
Okay.
But like you definitely need to do like fries, cheese, gravy, fries, cheese, gravy. Like it's got to be layered.
There's no cheese on the fries on the bottom.
That's like those cheese curds, those like lonely cheese curds almost falling off the plate on the right. That's making me sad.
It gives you something to reach for when it hits the table, though. You know what I mean? Like I got to get that.
But
guy.
if you, no, you have to use a fork. You have to, or you have to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be melty.
It
so like,
turns into
like the middle there. if you zoom way into the middle, and just look at just like the middle square where it's like mostly cheese and gravy and like some fries. Yeah. That's what it should be like. Okay. That's what it should be like.
The whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole thing. Yeah. And again, like if that's not your jam, that's okay. But that's what poutine is.
Okay.
If that makes
sense. I have to bring up a dish that where I grew up down in central Illinois and in around the Springfield, Illinois area, and there is a dish that originated down there called the horseshoe. And to this day, you can't get horseshoes outside of Springfield, Illinois. They don't exist anywhere. It's never spread. But I did bring up this right here. And this is the I don't know, it's probably a little delayed on the stream there for you guys, but
no, I see it.
This is the Central Illinois horseshoe.
Is that a burger?
So this is like Texas toast with a burger patty on top, piled on with French fries, and then this is like a special cheese sauce. It's got like its own special blend. It's got like Worcestershire sauce in it, a few different seasonings, but like a melted cheese concoction over the top of it.
I fully support this.
Thank you.
Like I'm in.
And this is what
sounds great.
I grew up on this living down there for like my first 25 years of my life. Like even though I haven't lived down there for 15 years, these things are probably the reason that I still have cholesterol issues today. Because like I would live off of these things. So this is, when we talk about the burgers and that kind of stuff, talk about our favorite foods, amongst my favorite foods, this is it right here, is the Central Illinois horseshoe. And
That's fair.
Wow.
Freaking amazing. So when you guys come visit me, I then have to take you on an additional 3-hour trip to go down and experience this. So, but yeah,
that's what we got to do.
It's what we got to do.
Mike.
That's what we got to do. But yeah, I wanted to bring up that, and I wanted to bring up. I'm glad you brought up the protein.
Jav, you and me on a road trip to go see Mike. That would be hilarious.
We would really need to get the tunes correct.
Dialed in.
That'd have to be a big playlist.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of food. I'm not a foodie by any means. I just really, really, really like eating food. Like I used to be significantly larger than I am now, like physically, like significantly larger. I've definitely cut down, but I love eating food. Like I would order like a large pizza and just crush the entire pizza just every time. Now I don't order large pizzas, literally because if I did, I'd probably just crush them. But yeah, I love food. Oh my God, food is the best. As long as I'm definitely a savory guy over a sweet guy. Like I haven't talked at all about like candy and stuff like that. Like don't get me wrong, I'll eat some candy, but
I love candy.
I always say like if I go to a restaurant and I could have like my main course and like if I could have a burger and then dessert, I would rather just have another burger. Right?
Yes, I love this so much. I support like the last 10 minutes of this conversation. I support absolutely every part of it. This is amazing. So
yeah, so it's funny. Like my wife and I was just gonna say, like my wife and I got a barbecue a few years ago. Like I've always had a barbecue, but we got a new barbecue a few years ago. We had some people over for just a backyard barbecue for the hell of it, and we make our own burgers now. We ended up getting like a patty press, which I highly recommend if you like to make your own burgers. Get a patty maker or patty press, so they're all the same size. Anyway, so we have like a certain recipe that we use. It's nothing crazy special, but certain recipe that we use to make the burgers. We make all the burgers. So I think we have like 6 people coming over. And it's just like, okay, we should probably make 32 burgers. It was like, oh, some people are coming over, 32 burgers. So we make them. Everybody has one or two. We're 20 burgers left over. And I'm just like, this is the dream.
Yep.
I now need to eat 1 or 2 burgers for every meal until the burgers are gone. Because you can't waste them. Can't waste them.
No.
Oh, the best. I
So
fucking love
so
burgers.
you have your own special spices and seasonings and additives for your burgers, I take it then.
Yeah, it's nothing particularly like special. But it makes a good burger. It's like just like we use a little bit of breadcrumbs to hold it all together, a little bit of onion, a little bit of barbecue sauce, like nothing too crazy, just in the right ratio. It makes a pretty decent burger.
I'm pretty proud of the burger recipe that I've concocted lately because I'm one of
Wicked
those
says
who
you make a
will
pretty good one, so.
I'm not trying to brag or anything here, but you could take one look at me and know that I can make some decent food if I put my mind to it, okay? No, I think I finally dialed in like what I like to put in with my burger. And even Ellie's sister, who doesn't typically eat a lot of burgers, like we were going over to their house earlier this summer, and then she like asked Ellie like, is Mike gonna make the burgers? So like we went to her dad's house, and then I made the burgers to bring, or the burger mix to bring over to their house and do it. So no, trust me, when you started talking about burgers, dude, you kind of got me going. Like we're probably gonna have to stop for a burger on the way to the movie today. So yeah.
Like I said, Mrs. Huey has not ordered anything other than pineapple and jalapeno pizza since you brought that up.
Pineapple
she
and
has
jalapeno.
Exclusively ordered only that.
I couldn't be more proud of her. I'm so happy to have another convert under my wings here. So this is
you know what you're doing.
But I can't take credit for that because somebody else turned me on to that actually. So that was another one of my friends who convinced me to try it. But again, I was like, he's like, would you try this? And I'm like, will I try it? Like, come on, just let's go here. You know, I am not picky when it comes to trying new things. So
there she is.
Yes, Mrs. Huey, I'm glad to have you on board. Thank you.
You know, I appreciate how much media has slandered pineapple on pizza because I don't know why, but whenever there's like a work function or some, I don't know, volunteer thing or whatever, and they order pizzas for everybody, there's always some Hawaiian pizzas, always.
Yeah.
And nobody ever wants them.
Mm-hmm.
And I love them.
Yeah.
I love pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
So there's always like a whole pizza or two just for me.
It's so awesome.
Try the jalapenos with it. It's pretty good. Jalapeno or banana pepper. It's really good.
Yeah, we actually we're growing some jalapenos, so I'll have to throw some of our. I'll have to try it. We'll have to make a pizza, and I'll throw some of our grown jalaps on there.
We're growing some Carolina Reapers down here right now. And
Nice.
Wicked and I have talked about trying to make some kind of a nice salsa with them. I say nice. It's not going to be nice. There's not going to be anything nice about this salsa, but we're going to, I believe, give it an attempt once these things pop and ripen up for us. So yeah.
Nice.
God, I'm so hungry now, you guys. Like,
I know, yeah. I'm glad we waited until
I-
towards the end of this to do the food thing. If we opened up with this, it would have been the entire podcast.
I would have
They'd
been
be like, "Oh, okay, so
belly
that's done with food.
growling.
Like, what kind of games do you like?" I'm like, "I like games where I can make food in them and eat the food
Right.
in the games."
yes,
Overcooked.
yeah, overcooked.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
They have
that's
hamburgers in Earthbound. I speedrun Earthbound. There are hamburgers in that game.
Oh man. Yep. Food is definitely coming in the
Nice.
near future. Way to go.
There's also pizza in Earthbound. Sorry.
But okay, so we brought up the poutine, but I guess specifically we did have it at a kind of a different part. Is there any particular Canadian food that you would bring up that's like not available? Because I think we can get poutine down here places. I know it's like
I'd say a
Canadian
beaver tail.
Beaver. Okay, hold on. Elaborate.
That's super local. No, I guess that's
No, it's
expanded quite a
Canadian.
bit. Yeah.
It's across
No,
Canada.
Canadian.
Are we talking like jerky?
Ryan Reynolds talked about it on a Deadpool Wolverine thing very recently, and he's from out west. so
Really?
I'm saying it's a Canada thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely.
So it is like a. deep fried. It's like a flat deep fried dough, oval kind of. So it's
Do you have like
filled up with-
elephant ears?
Yeah.
You ever had
Yeah.
elephant ears? Pretty much that.
So,
but with
oh,
shit
And
on
then-
it.
so we're not talking actual beaver tail here.
No, 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 no.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
a delicious.
Jesus.
This is a delicious treat. A delicious
We do
sweet
not
treat. Although they do
eat
have savory
beaver
ones too.
tails.
Okay.
So they do them and they put all kinds of stuff on them now. But the original one I think was like cinnamon sugar with like lemon.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah.
that originated like half an hour
Just
from
down
us.
the road.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just down the
not
road.
far.
Yeah.
A small town near us. It originated from there and blew up.
Really?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
this
Yeah,
is
they're
the-
pretty good. And so like anywhere
Huh.
you go in Canada now where there's like whenever there's like
a
a
franchise
local
thing,
fair
yeah.
or festival, there's going to be in the food truck section, there's going to be a beaver tail food truck there.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
You're going to
it
be able to
blew
get
up.
beaver
That
tails.
looks absolutely amazing. Like,
They're pretty delicious. They're messy as hell. They are super
I don't
messy.
care
Like,
about that.
You need and you're going to have like I don't know, syrup or sugar or something all over your hands for sure, but they're
Good.
delicious.
good.
Oreo is my go-to.
I like they had I haven't seen it for a while, but they had a savory one. They had like a garlic and cheese one for a while that I really liked, but since that went away, I typically go with the classic.
Look at
The,
this.
I guess it would probably be the do they have it there? Yeah, the Killaloo Sunrise, number 9. It's
Where'd
the
it go?
classic.
Where'd it go? Don't you hate it when you click on a
Canadian
picture and
churro.
it's like disappears? All right. No, that's
No, but
amazing.
it's basically fried dough with toppings.
That is amazing.
So, yeah, it's good.
I really want to try the apple cinnamon one right there.
It's delicious. Yep.
Ooh.
Combo
I mean,
for a
there's
visit.
not much to it. It's fried dough with toppings. Like you can't go wrong.
That wins
So
me
good.
over 100%. Like
Yeah.
I'm sold 100%. Like fried and dough in the same sentence. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Great. Nice. All right.
All right, that was
Boy.
my contribution. I don't know if you've got one, Huey.
Beaver tails.
I would have to spin my wheels for a bit to think of something other than beaver
No,
tails.
those are solid.
That is a
I
solid
can't even think
recommendation.
of anything else that is specific to us. Other than that,
Nice.
those
I know
are
at some of the winter festivals, they literally just they'll make like frozen maple syrup. And they
Yeah.
just throw it in the snow, and then it freezes, and then you
it freezes.
eat
We just-
frozen maple
yeah.
syrup. But that's not a thing. That's just literally cold maple syrup. Like,
Yeah.
it's-
We have
Wow,
good
I've-
maple syrup though. I sent Mike a can of maple
You
syrup.
did.
there,
That
and he
was
noticed
good.
A big difference.
There's a big
Yeah,
difference in
big
that
difference.
can. That was really good. So huge difference from what we have. But no, that was really
Yeah.
nice. So
It's actually true. Like up here, like a lot of people just make maple syrup.
yeah.
Like they just
Yep.
tap their trees,
Tap
collect
the
their
tree.
sap, and it's a thing. Like my brother-in-law has,
Boil it.
I don't know, 50 acres or something like that, and he taps all his trees and makes a ton of maple syrup every year, and we get a bottle or two for Christmas. So it's like, yeah, people just
Yep.
do it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Like a lot of people. Yeah.
Yep.
God, I need
What
to
do you
live
work
by
in
you
your
guys.
jar earlier? Yep.
Yep. Liquid gold.
So good.
You know, it's funny though because Mrs. Huey put in, a link in the chat. I would like if it was somebody I didn't know, I would be afraid to click that link.
Banned.
I'm not gonna lie,
Yep.
immediately banned.
Yeah.
Nice.
She won't steer you wrong there.
No, I trust her. It's okay. I can trust her to put links in chat. Man,
Nice.
cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
Right on.
Trust is there.
Well, we had the 21 questions thing there to round things out. I don't know if you still want to do that. Not that we have to do a full 21, but I know you have movie plans and whatnot. But to throw it out there for everybody in the chat, like we've gotten to know Javinat0r today. But if you had any other questions,
Here, wait,
if you
camera's
had
over here.
any, even just the random funny, 21 questions kind of thing, I'm
Yep.
sure Mike and I can kind of kick this off and we can round things out here. So I'm going to go with I know you guys have traveled quite a bit. If you could travel
Yes.
anywhere else, anywhere you haven't been, if you could travel anywhere, where would you want to go?
Norway or like Scandinavian countries. That's on our list. So we want to go to Europe and want to do like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Scandinavian world tour. of the area. That's
Nice.
definitely want to go there and check that out. Winter or summer, honestly. We did Iceland a while ago. In winter, we went over Christmas holidays and we stayed there for New Year's. Adventuring in those kinds of places in the winter is amazing. It's cold as well. It's a lot like here, so it's cold, but super cool. So yeah, either way, winter or summer. But yeah, the Scandinavians definitely want to go check that out.
Nice. Chat, feel free, fire
Yeah,
away. I'll
fire
try and
your
write 'em
stuff
down
out
if
there,
there's any
too.
questions. Okay, Mike, go.
I have always wanted to. I would have to say, like, I've always thought like Alaska or like Canada, like somewhere more further north with like some really dense forest. I
there's
would
one.
love to have. Oh, yep. Speaking of bots,
Speak of the devil.
Yeah, we just talked about you.
The bots are just like, oh, there's links in this chat.
Yeah,
Let
we
me
could
try
do
this
that.
one out.
Somewhere that I can just stay for like a week in a cabin. That as much as I do love, being on the internet, being on my games and that kind of stuff, it would be nice to just kind of isolate, go out on the porch, sit out in the forest, drink a cup of coffee, and just relax and not have all the noise around me. You know what I mean? Somewhere to just go and unwind in a nice, quiet place. So, like I said, it'd probably be like Alaska, northern Canada. I think is more foresty. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong, where you would find a lot of that stuff, but something like that. I used to have friends that used to go to Canada, and I don't know where exactly they used to go to. This was a long time ago, but their family would vacation every summer up there, and they would literally like go to a town, and they would have to take them out to an island, and it was like your cabin is stocked; it'll have everything that you need, but like here's an emergency phone to get a hold of us, but otherwise you're not going to get a signal to get back a hold of anybody. And they would go stay there for a week, and that just always sounded really fun to me. So,
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Ours is Italy.
yeah.
Like, we're gonna try and get that way. I also
Anywhere
want to get Mrs.
specific
Huey
or
to
just like
Whistler.
around?
I think like I don't know where It's more Mrs. Huey and me following along. Kind of wants
Yeah.
to go see and do
Yeah.
the touristy things, but I don't remember the specifics. But yeah, that or I want to get her to Whistler.
Oh yeah,
That's my goal.
nice.
I've been there, but it was a short stint, and yeah, I'd love to stay there for a longer period of time. Yeah.
Well, Chiblet said she'd be on her way to Indiana, but that would be to visit Wicked here with me, I'm sure.
Well,
I mean, I would like to think that she would like to visit with
Florence.
Ellie and
We're going to
myself as
Florence.
well. But she said Airbnb in Scotland where you can hang out and pet cows and be in Scotland and see the Northern Lights and stuff. So
Nice.
Florence.
That's
So
awesome.
Mrs. Huey with the Florence, what you were just kind of alluding to there. So Italy would definitely be like a very close second for me. But like I'd like to see a lot of the historical stuff like Rome, Vatican City, stuff like that whenever I was around that area.
Yeah, my wife and I, when we for our honeymoon, we knew we wanted to travel and see different stuff. But we had no idea what we wanted to do, so we ended up doing a 2-week bus tour through Europe, and we did like, I don't know, 8 or 9 countries in 14 days or something like that. So it was like a whirlwind tour. But that's why I was asking about where in Italy, because it was like a really big difference in places between, say, going to Rome and then going to like Florence.
Yeah.
Like significantly different, and it's like it definitely worth doing both, I think.
Yeah.
Like I would probably never go back to Rome, but I'm sure glad I went, because like you said, the history is like undeniably cool.
That's a big part.
It's also packed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you're talking me out of
but
it now.
like you have to go, you have to see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, where you don't have to, but you know what I mean. Like if you want to see that stuff, like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of other places in the world you can go to see that
Yeah.
kind of much concentrated history. I
Yeah.
guess.
No, that's a good point. That's a very good point. So, yeah. Next question. Anybody got one?
Do you have one, Mike?
Well, it was going to be food, but we already kind of went there. No. Well, we talked a little bit about concerts, so let me throw it out there. If you could go see any concert from any band, does no longer exist in anything, what is a concert that you wish you could have seen or that you wish you will be able to see? or hope you'll be able to see?
I think that would be. That's a tough one. It's not tough because I can't think of anything. It's tough narrowing it down.
Yeah.
So I probably want to see some kind of like peak Led Zeppelin. I think
Okay.
like if we're talking like living or dead, like
Yeah.
peak Zeppelin. I grew up like my dad has long hair and he was always like a Zeppelin guy, and I have vivid memories of like cleaning the house with dad listening to Zeppelin on his vinyl cranked, and like so I've always loved Zeppelin for that. And then there's a Canadian band known as the Tragically Hip, and the lead singer passed away like 10 years ago now, almost, maybe not that long, but quite a while ago now. And they're another one of those bands where they didn't really make it very far south of the border, but they're like kind of folk, like they're known in Canada all over the place. So I saw them once, but it was kind of at like a part of a greater festival or something like that. I really wish I'd someday ever, like, I wish I had have been able to go see that, like a dedicated just show of theirs at some point. So probably one of those two for me.
Nice. Mr. Huey?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have a bucket list right now.
Yeah.
I probably just want to go see Slipknot more.
I can't blame you. That show is an amazing
it's
spectacle.
so good.
Man. It's so
That's
good.
what I had in
So
my head
good.
as soon as the question
Like-
got posed to you. I was like, Huey's just gonna say more Slipknot.
I was kind of wondering if you would go there or not. I mean, you have the full outfit and everything, so you got to use as much as possible.
I don't
Peak
know.
Metallica.
I've never been into like those of like the ones you've mentioned or Metallica. Or I've never been into any of those bands, and I feel like I've seen whoever I've wanted to kind of see. I got into the one concert we were supposed to go to. I know Wicked's not as big on this one as I am, but the one show I was supposed to go to was Slipknot and A Day to Remember, and a few other bands. And so, knowing I was going to go see that, I started listening to A Day to Remember a lot more, and really got into them. And the show ended up getting canceled because of COVID, so I never got to see them. So, I guess I'd maybe say A Day to Remember, because I really got into all their albums and music.
Okay.
The one that I haven't seen, but a
Yeah.
lot of the other ones that I've wanted to go see, like Tool, and I've been to a lot of concerts, and
Right.
yeah.
I think I would have liked to have seen.
Mike can make fun of me. I don't know.
What's that?
I was just saying, like, I'd go see Adele again. Adele was such an amazing experience, but you're gonna laugh at me.
I'm not gonna laugh at
Adele
you if
was
you want to
like-
go see Adele. Okay, it's fine.
Adele was amazing. Another one that we were supposed to go to that I thought would have been like similar experience. We actually had tickets to go see Celine Dion,
Yeah.
and that would be something to see.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting sick, and we ended up having to get refunded the tickets. And well, we know her situation now, but like that would have been something that, you know what I mean. You don't get to do too often, so that would have been a really cool show.
Yeah, for sure.
A little different than Metallica. And
It is. It is. There's a lot of Wicked's going with Metallica here.
Yeah, I love Metallica.
I did see that JC said One Direction, even though she said as lame as some may think, One Direction. She
It's a
said
no shame environment.
Backstreet Boys, Metallica, Leonard Skinner. So a lot of good recommendations in the chat right now. I would probably have to go personally with Queen. I would have liked to have seen Queen in concert. You know, that's just kind of their whole roller coaster as a band and what they went through as a band, and their leads, Freddie Mercury, lead singer, and just in general, I've always just been a really big Queen fan, so I think that would have to be amongst my top ones.
Have you seen those videos of the Freddie Mercury vocal warm-ups?
Yes.
Those are wild.
Crazy.
Like the energy that he commands at those stadium shows, just doing a vocal warm up is just unbelievable.
And it's stuff like that, I think, that makes me want to experience that. You know what I mean? He's just like the way he worked the crowd, and like the way his, going back to what we talked about earlier with how his music, reached out and touched so many people. Like he was just a really good songwriter, and so many people were able to connect with that energy of that music, and just. Yeah, I just feel like it would have been a good live. I've only experienced it through the studio albums that they put out, and I feel a really deep connection with Queen and their music. So to see it live would have been at a whole nother level, So yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
I just wanted to say for Metallica, that was actually the first show I ever watched. They came to Ottawa, which is semi nearby-ish kind of.
Nice.
Where I lived when I was a kid, and it was grade 11s. That'd been like 2003, 2004, or something in that area or whatever. And that was my Christmas / birthday present, was Metallica tickets.
That's
And
awesome.
I gotta say, that's a hell of a first show to see.
Yeah.
They had like the rotating stage in the middle.
Yeah.
So it was like in the middle of the arena, like center ice, because it's at a hockey arena. So like center ice, and then just surrounding it, and then like every song, the stage turns like an eighth or like a pizza slice worth.
Yeah.
And so you always, but like they were kind of like moving around all over the place, but you always got like a different
view
spot to see them.
That's cool.
And they had Godsmack open for them at the time, and like they were surprisingly good live.
I enjoyed
the
Godsmack.
singer.
I've seen
Like
Godsmack
Soul
twice.
Arena,
yeah, they put on a show, man. When they were doing like the dueling drum kits and stuff, with the lead singer hops on the drums, and they're chucking the sticks up in the air and doing. Oh man, that was like
awesome.
I walked in because we got there not like, and they were already playing.
Yeah.
And so I walk into them doing like voodoo, and I'm like, this is sick. I need to go to more concerts.
Right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. No, that would have been a good show to see, actually. Oh, cool. All right, guys.
How are you on time,
I
bud?
hate to do this, but I do need to wrap things up.
All good.
So,
Didn't
yeah.
think of
It's
Are
questions.
you doing a giveaway thing?
Yeah, we're going to do that real quick. But while I get that pulled up, I do want to ask, too, like, Jav, I know this is your first time on the show, but doesn't 3 hours go by really fast?
It really does. It really does.
It doesn't
I'm
feel like 3
I'm not gonna
hours.
lie. The only time it slowed down a little bit was when we started talking about food,
I hear you.
and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to be eating a burger
Yep.
right now."
Yep. I could not agree more. So, so for everybody, as always, that has joined us here today, we definitely appreciate the heck out of you. Thank you so much for coming here and being with us today. If you have not already, please click the link right there in the chat. Go drop our friend Jav a follow on his channel, and I'm sure that as he's streaming, you'll catch the three of us together. You'll catch him doing some of his speed runs, or any of the other random first-person shooter games that we talked about. The Counter-Strikes, you guys play Valorant? Am I right?
Yep. Counter-Strike, Valorant, Remnant 2, Final Fantasy 6, Earthbound, whatever, Darkest Dungeon, all kinds of stuff.
So please go drop him a follow and show some support for our friends. And thank you for coming on with us today, man. It's been awesome having you on and just
Thanks
getting
for
to
joining, buddy.
Hey,
Getting to
thanks for
sit here and
inviting me.
be
This is
us.
awesome.
No, it was definitely a
I
lot of
definitely
fun.
would have been doing a bunch of yard work today, and this is significantly more fun and
We
better
got
than
you.
doing yard work all day. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks,
Nice.
thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you. So, for everybody that's in chat, if I've seen your name, I have thrown you up here on the board. We've got 10 entries. So, without further ado, this will be for a gift off of our shop. As we said before, the shop's going through some reconstruction just because of the change in sources that we had to go through. So, I will reach out to the winner and we will decide what merch you guys would like to have sent your way. So we're going to give me a number 1 through somebody. First person in chat, give me a number 1 through 10.
They have yoga mats.
They do have yoga mats. 7. We're gonna shuffle 7 times here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then let's do the spin. We have Chibi. Chibi, you get a free
Nice.
item from the merch shop. So we will be in touch and we'll get everything on there and see what you decide to have sent your way. So thank you for being here today. Thanks for chatting and congratulations. Oh, hi. There she is. All right. And that is
Rigged.
rigged.
I don't
No.
have a ton of options in there yet, Chiblet, so I've only got a couple things. It's like Mike said, they just changed it, so I'll fart around with it, and then Mike can get a hold of you.
Yep. Uh-oh. I may have just destroyed the stream. Nope, we're good. Okay. So we'll go ahead and end it there. Stick around for the raid. We are going to end the show there. But thank you all for showing up again today, and it's been fun. It's been a fast 3 hours as usual. And make sure to keep an eye out on all the socials and discords and all of that, so that we can meet up again next time, whatever the next show holds. So without further ado, thank you all, and it's been a good show. Stick around for the raid.